Rich Eisen Show.
Spike, you're really going to go back next year? You're really going to give this guy millions of your dollars to go sit there? This guy's run off Oakley, he's run off Marv Albert, and he's running off Spike Lee. And how, Knicks fans, he has not run you off yet? I don't comprehend it. Because if the Knicks do finally stop sucking, you can watch it from home. Welcome to the Dolan Wormhole, Spike.
Another Rich Eisen Show is coming at you right now.
And now, turn it up. Let's go.
This is the Rich Eisen Show. Live from Los Angeles.
Crazy talk.
Heard nationwide. Online at richeisenshow.com.
You have to sit here, if you're San Francisco, and say, we love Jimmy G, but do we think in the next 2 years this is a better option than Tom Brady?
The Rich Eisen Show.
And if the answer is no, you got to do it.
Today's guest, Sports Illustrated senior writer Chris Mannix, Bleacher Report MLB columnist Scott Miller, senior writer for the MMQB, Albert Breer, and now it's Rich Eisen.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the Rich Eisen Show, not only on your radio dial, wherever you are in the global universe of watching or listening to a radio show. I just pulled a Del Tufo saying watch when I mean listen. You can watch us on our YouTube page now, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. We are live. We are up and running. You can watch us in our studio here in Los Angeles, California, every single day from 12 to 3 Eastern time right here on our YouTube page that we've been building up. We've been cultivating this caper for quite some time, to use the Maury the Wigman phrase, and we are ready to roll here today with you or stream with you today. Every single day you can check us out and watch us live. We had Kurt Busch in studio yesterday. Today we've got a trio of guests calling into the program. Chris Mannix will be calling in from Sports Illustrated. The latest Lakers victory puts them now in the catbird seat of being a full, if you will, five and a half games up right now, 6 in the loss column on the Los Angeles Clippers. Chris Mannix is going to be on this show right here to discuss what you're pounding the table for this.
I am not pounding the table, but people are pounding. And it's LeBron James for MVP. Giannis has been the front runner. It's funny, when Chris Mannix was here in studio before the season started, we asked him who's the favorite for MVP. He didn't hesitate. He said Giannis is going to go back-to-back.
Yes. And
Giannis has been the clear-cut favorite. The Bucks have just had far and away the best record in the NBA. LeBron has significantly closed the gap in the last few weeks.
Including last night. Where I think he threw one in pretty much from half court after, LeBron stepping his way into the shot.
He very much did.
Taking care of the Philadelphia 76ers at home last night. And, Anthony Davis had a terrific night as well. I think, did he get load managed out of that game in New Orleans? Just to
it was very convenient.
Keep him out, because he's certainly hopping around on that knee. But anyway, long story short is Mannix is going to join this program. We'll talk a little bit of boxing with him as well. We haven't spoken to him since the Tyson Fury domination of Deontay Wilder. He'll be on this show. There was a piece that really struck home with me, and I'm wondering if it did with you, if you saw it on Bleacher Report or any of their social media platforms, by Scott Miller reaching out to a handful of pitchers who got boat raced out of a game by the Astros and their trash can banging scheme. And not only out of a game, but out of the major leagues. And Scott Miller has been talking to a handful of these pitchers, and some of their stories are just downright shocking, a little bit heartbreaking for a couple that are out of baseball completely, including Mike Bolsinger, who's suing right now the Houston Astros because he's out of a gig. And he got smoked. And then there's a couple of instances where pitchers got absolutely lit up by the Astros. And then the Astros, 2 different unnamed Astros, went up to these pitchers. One of them physically, another FaceTime, to say, giving them a heads up, hey, you're tipping your pitches, maybe with your glove. Which leads Miller and the pitchers in question to believe that they were covering their trash can banging tracks by being the quote-unquote good guy to let the pitchers know, the pitchers in question, Alex Cobb and Chris Archer of the Tampa Bay Rays, to let them know, hey, we've got your backs here. We were on to you about something, but to let them think that it was in a more conventional manner of you're tipping your pitches.
It's your fault.
We're picking up. It's not me, it's you. And now years later, they have found out it may not have been them. It's the Astros, who at the time covered their tracks by telling the pitchers that they were cheating against that it was them who was tipping their pitches. In case you're wondering why you gave up 3 runs on 4 hits, in case you're wondering why you might be wondering if you've got it anymore, you still have it. We just got something through you tipping your pitches, not us cheating through technology and, I guess, thorough-gunning a plastic trash can.
Man, that's next level.
Another instance, too, in one game where Cobb and a reliever who went sent down afterwards, they banged the trash can 39 times in the game. 39 times. And at what point do you think your opponents aren't total, complete idiots? Like, what's that banging that we're hearing 39 times in the game? And if you're not in Cleveland, then you know it's not coming from the bleachers. Wow. So we'll discuss that. And then there's Albert Breer joining us.
All right.
From the MMQB. Breer will join us on this program. And his colleague and our former colleague at NFL Network, I've stayed put. The other guys have gone other places. Jeff Darlington says 8 teams. 8 teams. We can do the math for you. That's a little bit less than a third of the National Football League is interested in Tom Brady.
Exactly 25%.
Yeah. Well, 8 of 32, right?
Yeah.
3 of them on the West Coast.
Damn, I'm more verbal.
Yeah,
That's
I was going to say,
terrible.
Rich, it's okay. I got 660 on my math. It's
you know
fine.
what? I'm having trouble even with my third graders' homework.
I am not looking forward to that. The whole re-going through school because I have to do all these math problems and science projects and no thanks.
I'll give you some hints on that. At this point, just get through the night, burping and
survival,
pooping and all that sort of stuff.
Just survive.
It's survive and advance in your household, bro.
Survive and advance.
It's
right
March Madness. It's March Madness.
It's March
in
Madness.
the Brockman household.
Yeah.
Except,
it really is.
except the first opening bracket is poop versus pee. Everybody.
I got peed on yesterday for the first time.
So P advances. P
for
advances.
the first time, I got peed on.
Well done. Very good. Good job, Mike. Very good. So here's one aspect of the Brady to 49ers scenario.
Did Darlington, sorry to interrupt, did Darlington name the teams?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right, I want to speculate.
He's said the Titans were the
He
front
said they're
runners.
number front runner,
Well,
yeah.
he said that on Schefter's podcast.
Right.
You said that here a couple of weeks ago.
I've heard Tom Curran say that too.
So, the Titans, and then apparently the Patriots are a front runner again. This is crazy. Patriots are like the Biden of this situation, right? They're out. Now here's the comeback, right? And they hope,
Yes.
and
They
to
hope to be
complete the
victorious.
analogy, New England hopes that the football Biden wins Massachusetts.
Right. Just don't confuse your sister and your wife.
Okay, very good. I saw that last night. And by the way, Dairy Stormers.
Dairy Stormers.
Is that, by the way, great band, right? The Dairy Stormers were amazing.
Pretty good.
When I was in college.
They opened for Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
Yes.
Dolan opened for the Dairy Stormers.
Got it.
Back in the early days.
But here's a Brady to San Francisco scenario, throwing sand in that machinery. Now, hear me out. I'm going to say this out loud, and I'm going to say this, people are saying this, and I'm going to say that there's a little bit of there. Brady may not be, I can't believe I'm about to say this.
Oh, jeez.
Especially it's going to be, it's
should I
living on
brace
YouTube.
myself?
No, Brady may not be a scheme fit for the 49ers.
What?
Wow.
I just said those words, and I
can
did
you
not say.
elaborate?
Tom Brady may not be a scheme fit for the 49ers.
In terms of?
There's a lot of rolling out and boots, and you got to follow the quarterback here, and this running back goes there, this receiver goes there. There's a lot of got to run and get out of the pocket, and I know that would be insulting to Tom at age 43, what he's going to be, and that he can do anything physically, significantly, and he can get himself in shape. I'm not saying he's not. But one thing he doesn't do is run like a deer out of that pocket. Don't you remember when Manning showed up in Denver and Kubiak would run like pistol offense with him, not shotgun?
Right.
Because there is a lot of action that the quarterback must run to make the running game work. Don't you remember there was even a conversation that there was before the Super Bowl victory run? There was the conversation that Brock Osweiler was running the offense better than Peyton.
I mean,
because he was younger and had more giddy up for Kubiak to run the offense in the manner in which he did. And the pistol putting Peyton not under center, not in shotgun, but in between was kind of the medium ground that everybody found, and they won a championship. So I'm not saying that Brady can't go to San Francisco or that Kyle Shanahan wouldn't entertain it. Conversation about Brady that he may not be with the boots and the rollouts. But
there's a simple fix.
Sprint out and the sprint out.
Simple fix. Yeah, hey Kyle, I'm not doing this. There's a simple fix. All he has to do is say, "Hey, I got 2 years. Do you want to win a championship? Hey, Kyle, I'm not doing those. Let's run the offense that I'm most comfortable running.
And you can figure it out.
And you figure it out. But you're the head coach.
I'm just telling you. These are the things that I hear in the conversation.
And
you can figure it out. And when you sit there, you're like,
okay, the head coach.
I'm just, the one thing that Tom, although he does have some elusiveness in the pocket that you think, like, where the hell did that come from?
Right.
Thing that Tom, although he does, but that is now part of the conversation.
Okay.
Right now. Where the hell did that come from? That, you know what? But that is now part of Brady might not be the right system quarterback. I don't mean to go all McLovin on you right there.
That's crazy.
But that's part of the conversation that's happening.
I don't mean to
go all. And it is, if I'm not mistaken, the 4th of March, correct?
March 4th.
Right now. 2 weeks from today, and it is, if I'm not mistaken, the new league year opening up.
March 4th.
I'll be on NFL Network 2 weeks from today.
Free agency frenzy.
It's I mean, you know, opening up. And not saying that anybody else can't handle it. Everybody knows that we have a very wide array of hosts at NFL Network. Not saying that anybody else can't. But you know it. Knows that we have a whenever there's a frenzy around here, who do you look to?
I look to you.
Thank you. Yeah. But, you know, I'm like, well, I am absolutely 1,000%
I look to you.
known as the anti-frenzy host. I tamp it down while also playing up the notion that there's a frenzy.
Calming the Frenzy. I think the first single off of Dairy Stormers.
Dairy Stormers' first single was Calming the Frenzy.
Yeah. Calming the Frenzy.
Or their first album.
Calming the Frenzy. Dairy Stormers. We're back.
So we'll talk about all this with Breer because, my gosh, where Brady goes is just the stone in the pond that has ripple effects all the way through to Vegas, not just for the draft, but even maybe the Vegas Raiders. That has ripple effects all the way through. Tough to say. Not just for the draft, but even maybe. Didn't even Ben Affleck drop a San Diego in reference to the Chargers yesterday?
He did.
That happens. That happens.
Still weird.
844-204-RICH is the number to dial. We're willing to take your phone calls all throughout this edition of the Rich Eisen Show, and why not? 844-204-RICH is the number to dial. We've been there for about 5 years. Chris Mannix, Scott Miller, and Albert Breer are on this program. We'll get to our poll question and Chris Mannix next, right here on the show. Okay, folks, the Callaway Maverick driver. Last year, Callaway started using artificial intelligence to design their drivers, and that's why we started falling in love with the Epic. Now they've added it in the And Maverick. that's why And we now started they've added
falling
it
in
in the
love
Maverick
with the
irons.
Epic.
Now, and they didn't just do it for one
added
iron.
it
No,
in
no.
the Maverick.
Every loft
And
on every
now
iron has a
they've
flash
added
face
it in the
cup
Maverick
uniquely designed by
irons.
AI to completely
And they didn't just do it
maximize
for one
distance.
iron.
And I'll
No,
tell
no.
you what, taking those cups and making them nice and large, making it like as big as the South Wall, to use a Better Call Saul phrase.
Nice.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. It allows the center of gravity to be precisely positioned throughout your set to give you optimal launch and control. Now you can bomb it with every club. New distance is out there. It takes a Maverick to find it. So get your set of Maverick irons at CallawayGolf.com today. Callaway are the #1 irons in golf. My friend Chris Mannix next here on The Rich Eisen Show. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show, where the kinks are all worked out, right? We just had a kink, and we don't mean the band,
everybody.
right?
Not the band. Not the band.
Thank you, everybody, in the chat room.
People say I need to powder my head a little bit. I'm on it.
You don't have an avatar?
I don't have an avatar.
You're just a green
Yeah,
guy?
just a green guy.
How about a host who's interacting with people on a chat page during a commercial break?
I love it.
Coming
They
off
say
the
I'm
30
doing
hours of the
nothing.
combine. How about giving a guy a break?
They just said I was doing nothing, and they're accurate. I am.
I'm
doing
just
nothing.
happy they let me through the employee entrance today.
Yeah.
Yeah?
We have a special VIP one. We
Yeah.
prefer you use that.
prefer-
Is that right?
We
No,
prefer
I didn't
you
get
use
the email.
I have to use the general.
We
boy.
prefer you use that.
Welcoming in a man who can get Spike Lee through the 33rd Street entrance at Madison Square Garden whenever he pleases, from Sports Illustrated senior writer of NBA and also The Fight Game, Chris Mannix. How are you, Chris?
Who's had more first-day difficulties, you or Dan, at this point?
You know what? I'm going to go with Leon Rose, president of the New York Knicks. Can I go? How about that one, Chris? How about that rollout, huh? How about the rollout? Here's a new president, and now let's have a total poop show with the most famous Knick fan ever. How about that one?
Well, I mean, it's wild because these are the types of battles the Knicks shouldn't be in. I mean, if you think about it, that whole Spike Lee brouhaha happened, after maybe the best win of the entire season, where the Knicks knocked off the Rockets. And that's what everybody should be talking about. Instead, it's, James Dolan versus Spike Lee. And you mentioned Leon Rose. I mean, part of this story that's perplexing as well is the fact that Leon gets named Knicks president and he kind of press conference. And I actually asked the league, I go, is this by the rules? Don't they have to do something when they introduce a new president? And some of the league told me, is like, look, we would have a rule, but we couldn't imagine any team doing this, like acting this way. So, this is just one misstep after the other for the Knicks.
I love it. They found a loophole in terms of being so incompetent, right? That's what you're basically saying, that we can't stop it because there's no rule to stop it because we never thought a team would be so incompetently run, is what you're essentially saying.
I mean, more or less, Rich. I mean, that was basically the message I was getting.
Unbelievable. Okay, so then, what? Nothing happens, right? I mean, the guy still owns a team, and the NBA is not doing a single thing to address this problem. Bring him in and basically say, let's help you. Or what can Leon Rose do? Tell me about him and how he might come in and actually fix this thing.
Well, I guess it depends on what kind of autonomy Leon Rose has, and that's not entirely clear to me yet. To my knowledge, he hasn't hired any staff of his own at this point. You would assume that's coming, but he hasn't done that at this point. And you'd love it if Leon had complete autonomy where he could say, all right, we're going to amend this fence with Charles Oakley. We're going to fix this problem with Spike Lee. I'm an agent. I'm good at relationships. We're going to deal with the PR problems first and then the real basketball problems. But that's never been the case in New York. I mean, Scott Perry is a former agent. Phil Jackson had complete autonomy, and these types of things, they keep happening. So I don't know. I don't know about Leon Rose as the guy, that makes the most sense as the team's, de facto general manager. But this is just certainly not off to a good start.
Chris Mannix here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's talk about relevant basketball teams, starting with the teams here in Los Angeles, the Lakers. It seems that there's more of a groundswell now for LeBron to be MVP of the association. Where do you stand on that subject right now?
No, I mean, I think he's a pretty clear runner-up, but I don't think anyone's touching Giannis this year, and nor should they. I mean, it's a tremendous story, that LeBron is crafting right now with his, and I don't want to call it a bounce-back year, but it was the first injury-plagued season of his career last year, and certainly that was a factor for him. And, a lot of people wondered if he could ever get back to that top level ever again, especially defensively. But you just kind of have to take a step back and look at what Giannis and the Bucks are doing. I mean, he's putting up the type of numbers that we haven't seen really since Shaq's, MVP season. I mean, it's like almost 30 points, the 12, 13 rebounds. I mean, it's just astronomical production. The Bucks, could wind up with 70 wins. You simply can't take that away from him. I don't think he should just be the MVP, Rich. He should be the unanimous MVP. He's been that good.
Not even a single other vote, huh? Wow.
No, because you're voting on first place, right? And look, LeBron should have every single second place vote. He should be second place on probably every single ballot. But if you're voting against Giannis this year, it's because maybe you have Giannis fatigue and you want to vote for the story. It's not because you're voting for the most valuable player in 1920.
Well, I got to tell you, I'll ask you because it's rare for me to look up at the standings on March 4th and see an X next to a team's name. I mean, the fact that the Bucks have already clinched a playoff spot right now, I don't recall the last time we saw something like that, Chris.
Yeah, it's certain. Look, it's a testament to the Bucks, and it's an equal testament to just how crappy the bottom of the Eastern Conference is. I mean, it's easy to clinch a playoff spot when I think the 8th seed has 27 wins right now and is 6-7 games under 500 at this moment. So they're having a great year. But, if Golden State from a couple of years ago played in the East, they probably would have had the same type of clinching situation.
Chris Mannix here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, so what else other than MVP, and can the Lakers do it? Tell me the other intriguing story in the NBA as we've hit early March, and we're a few weeks away, short weeks away from the 8th and final playoff spot conversation leading into the playoffs. Walk me through what this is, Chris.
Look, the biggest story to me is, can anyone challenge Milwaukee in the East? And it's gotten interesting over the last couple of weeks with the way Boston has played, last night notwithstanding, and Toronto's just continued, success despite not having Kawhi Leonard. I mean, the Raptors, Rich, they clearly believe that they can win this year, because if they didn't, they would have traded Marc Gasol or Serge Ibaka. I mean, both these guys had significant value. They were expiring contracts. At the very least, the Raptors probably could have gotten back a draft pick in return, but they kept that duo intact largely because they want to challenge, or want to be able to challenge the size of Milwaukee in a conference final situation. Boston, I've been a skeptic of Boston's front line, but we're into March right now, and they still have a top 5 defense. And Daniel Tice is still defending at a high level. And Enes Kanter hasn't been exposed yet. At some point, I'm going to have to admit that I was wrong, and this Celtics team has enough beef in that front court to challenge, because they certainly have more than enough scoring. I mean, Tatum has become a bona fide star. Kemba Walker, when he's healthy, is Kemba Walker. Jaylen Brown is one of those borderline all-star players. I mean, they're going to be able to score with everybody. And their front court is showing that they're going to be able to compete with the bigger front line.
So what about the notion that Zion has a shot at Rookie of the Year based on what he's been able to do?
Too many days. I mean, look, if Ja Morant didn't exist, maybe you might say that Zion could get the nod over R.J. Barrett or, Kobe White or any of these other guys that have emerged from this class. But, I mean, Ja's been awesome from, really day one, and he's been the driving force behind a Memphis team that had no business being in the playoff mix this year, having a good chance of winning that number 8 seed. So I think, it's another one where you got to watch. People that want to vote for Zion should watch Ja Morant play. And he's been, durable. He's been excellent. I mean, he to me should be a runaway Rookie of the Year.
And which team for the final 6 weeks has the most on the line to try and finish up well for coach and roster? I can kind of guess what your answer may be, but I do want to just open-end that question for you, Chris Mannix.
I mean, I'm blind. What would my guess be, if you don't mind my asking?
The Sixers, right?
Well, yeah.
About how they're going to finish up in the next 6 weeks, and obviously they're going to get into the dance, but I guess that would be, unless there's another team out there whose coach might be contemplating retirement or might get fired, or the team might get blown up based on how they do finish up.
No, look, the Sixers, 3 weeks ago, I would have absolutely agreed with you. I do think that the injury to Ben Simmons and the injuries to Joel Embiid, if those guys wind up missing time in the postseason, it might give Philadelphia a chance to say, well, we kind of messed up this year, but we'll make some tweaks around the fringes, and our guys will be healthy next year. We'll bring everybody back. I mean, the Brett Brown situation is most interesting because I wonder if the Sixers decide he's not the guy, do they make a run at Jay Wright? Because Jay Wright's the next guy. He's the one everybody is looking at and saying, when are we going to get him to come to the NBA. He's got all the credentials, elite level college coach, has worked with USA Basketball, and people around him, really believe that he's got that mindset, the NBA coaching mindset that Brad Stevens has and John Beilein doesn't, for example. So that's what makes Philadelphia, I think, the most interesting. If the Sixers believe that they can lure Jay Wright, into his kind of hometown job, that could spell the end for Brett Brown. That's what makes it most interesting to me.
Chris Mannix here on the Rich Eisen Show on this radio station and what you're listening to it. And you can watch it on youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show for all 3 hours every single day. What did happen with Beilein? What in the world did go wrong with John in Cleveland?
He never, ever should have been put in that position. I don't understand. I mean, even if you knew nothing about, how John Beilein was going to coach that team and, kind of the attitude he was going to take, with veteran players, the idea that a 66-year-old lifetime college coach with no NBA experience was going to work was ridiculous. It really was. And this isn't Monday morning quarterbacking for me. I mean, I thought so and I said so at the time, and I didn't think it would happen this quickly, but I expected it to end poorly. I mean, there are certain coaches that you look at and say they've got a shot. I mentioned Jay Wright. I think Tony Bennett of Virginia is another potential candidate down the line. They don't always have to be super young like some of those guys I mentioned, but I think they've got to have their finger on the pulse of the NBA in some way, shape, or form, and Beilein didn't. I mean, if you want to get in the weeds of it,
yes,
I think going to a team that had veteran players that were used to a certain way of coaching, that being kind of hands-off, have practices, that went from like 12 to 2 instead of like 9 to 4, and this long film session that John Beilein had. I think that was, a big-time problem from the strategic standpoint, but he just wasn't built for coaching in the NBA. And like some coaches aren't. Rick Pitino wasn't, John Calipari wasn't, and John Beilein joins that list.
No truth to the rumor that Dan Gilbert got Beilein out of Michigan on behalf of his alma mater, Michigan State. There's no truth to that rumor whatsoever? No?
That's a bit above my pay grade. I don't know the intricacies of college basketball that well.
I'm just trying to say, hunt that one down, Chris, just on my behalf.
Well, I've said, Rich, as a Boston College alum, I welcome John Beilein to the college ranks at Boston College.
Hey, man.
I did not want him.
Don't you think he's got to be the hottest sought-out college basketball coaching candidate, period? I mean, why not? The guy's amazing.
You might have more insight. You might have more insight than I do at this point. I mean, one thing I don't know is, like, how much money did he wind up getting from the Cavaliers on that deal? I mean, he had a deal that paid him in the neighborhood of $5 million per year. That was a 5-year deal. So, does he want to give that money up? Does he keep some of that money? How interested is he in coaching? I mean, there was some thinking, Rich, that the NBA was kind of like this retirement gift for John Beilein. Like, he got out of college basketball when the going was good, and the getting was good, rather, before it became an even bigger cesspool. And maybe he doesn't want to coach again, but if he does, I don't think there's any doubt that there'll be a lot of teams looking to hire him.
All right, in the few minutes left with you, Chris Mannix, let's take your Sports Illustrated hat off, put your DAZN hat on. Now we're just a couple of weeks removed of Tyson Fury's beatdown of Deontay Wilder. The conversation about everybody involved in the fight game in that weight class is what?
Well, there's certainly a new star in the division, and I think one of the things that excites people is that we could eventually start getting the super fights at the heavyweight ranks that we've been looking for. I mean, as long as Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua were holding belts and were at the top of their respective political divides, we weren't going to get that fight. It just wasn't going to happen anytime soon, or maybe not at all. Tyson Fury's in a bit of a different situation. Fury, from day one, his mindset's always been, I'm going to fight the best. It's what it should be. I'm going to fight the best, and my promoters work for me, and they're going to go out there and make a deal. So if Fury can win this rematch on July 18th with Wilder, I think there's no doubt we'll see Fury versus Joshua. And maybe, because Deontay's been knocked off a couple of times, down the line in 2021, we'll get Wilder versus one of those two, preferably Joshua, at that point. So I think what happened a couple of weeks ago, Rich, was maybe the best thing that could possibly happen to heavyweight boxing. There's kind of a break in the logjam, in the politics of it all, and the potential, at least, to have consistent super fights in that division. Well,
I mean, Tyson Fury is definitely magnetic. There's just no two ways about it. I mean, a video that we reposted here at Rich Eisen Show on our Twitter feed at Rich Eisen Show the night of the fight of Fury just unburdening himself, unfiltered to me here in June about his battle with mental health went spread like wildfire. And people could not get enough about Tyson Fury and his story.
Yeah, it's great that a story like that and a fight like that brought in, mainstream outlets like yourself and others to get to know a guy like Fury. I mean, I've covered him since like 2013 and, certainly chronicled his downfall after the win over Vladimir Klitschko. And I don't know if I can remember too many better redemption stories. To be, 400 plus pounds and to lose all that weight and become an elite athlete once again and knock off the most fearsome puncher in the game, that's really impressive for Tyson Fury. I think, look, as we look ahead to the rematch, or the third fight, I guess I should say, the only thing that I wonder about is what's going to happen to Tyson over these next couple of months. I mean, as you know by now, he's mentally in a good place when he's trying to fight for what he wants, and he wanted to fight back and get back to the top of the heavyweight division once again. He did that when he beat Vladimir Klitschko, and he was the undisputed heavyweight champion, or at least the unified heavyweight champion. That's when things kind of fell apart for him. He kind of felt like he got everything that he wanted, and it was all kind of downhill from there. I hope it doesn't happen, but one of my questions about Fury is, now that he's accomplished what he set out to accomplish, does he still have that same edge? Does he still train the same way and commit to the fight with the same mindset? Because say what you want about Deontay Wilder and where he is right now, but the guy still has an eraser of a right hand. So if you come in any kind of questionable shape, he is going to knock you out.
Well, I mean, I don't know how you could read anything into it either, Chris, because, looking pre-fight when the fighters were on camera, Fury was the one singing and dancing, and Wilder was the one locked in, focused, and then apparently his 40-pound costume was the thing that got him all wobbly-legged too quickly, and then Fury made short work of him and sang Don McLean's American Pie with the whole crowd. I mean, how do you view like what his version of locked in is, right?
Yeah, well, some of it is a bit of an act. Like, one thing with Fury is that he knows, and he knew after or before the first fight, that his antics got under the skin of Deontay Wilder and affected him and made him fight maybe a little bit differently in that first fight. So he's all about kind of the mind games that you can play. I mean, as far as Wilder goes, I mean, he was basically playing blame game bingo after that fight, where it's like it's the costume he wore, then it was the referee, and then it was there's a handful of other things he blamed, as a result of that. Some cheap shots by Tyson Fury. I mean, he kind of went out there and spread the blame with a fire hose to anyone that would listen to him, and I didn't think that was a particularly good look for him. So, but Fury, I think, will be the exact same fighter, at least in terms of his antics in the next fight. It's just who he is. But I want to see how he trains, if he's still committed, before I'm all in on Tyson Fury winning the third fight.
Chris, thanks for the time, brother. Really appreciate it. And you were the first guest in the history of this show being streamed live on YouTube. And as they say in the NFL, nobody can take that away from you, Chris. Nobody.
That will be up on my Twitter feed within the hour.
You should, sir. You should, sir. And I appreciate that. At SI Chris Mannix, and also on Instagram. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for the call, brother. We'll chat soon.
You got it, Rich.
You got it. It's Chris Mannix right there. So, nothing Zion can do, and there's nothing LeBron can do. I'll tell you, man.
Interesting.
I'll tell you. Like this NBA
gaps
season.
Are close.
This NBA season for being so wide open going in. Like, that's all we were talking about. The Warriors are down.
Yeah.
Everybody's up. Look out for Denver. Look out for Utah. They're currently fifth and third, respectively. The Rockets are now in that 6, 7 and under league, and we'll see how they're performing. and yet, it may just all come down to Lakers. What we're assuming, Lakers versus Bucks. No one can stop them unless the Clippers throw something in. Unless the Raptors, your C's, or the Heat could even do something, as the Heat performed well against Milwaukee.
Yep.
But we're talking 7 games, right? It's not like the Titans come in. It's not like the Titans come in with Derrick Henry and ruin somebody's weekend and season,
right?
In 3.5 hours. Right. This is something that plays out over 2.5 weeks. So there's just not as much drama as I thought there would be. I mean, there's team by team drama. Sixers are a prime example. Didn't LeBron call them didn't Charles call them the Cleveland Cavaliers the Cleveland Browns of the NBA?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, All right, 844-204-RICH number to dial. We'll take your phone calls in a second. Also, our poll question is excellent, pop culture related. And in terms of that, for those watching on YouTube, we're going to have a new segment called the RE Call. Some fun moments from the history of our show for those watching on YouTube. Larry David is next. For those of you listening on the radio and watching on YouTube, Chris Brockman's poll question and your phone calls at 844-204-RICH. That's the number to dial. Hello, YouTube audience. How are you? Good to see you. I'll be texting with you and tweeting with you, or what do we call it?
It's posting the chat room.
I'm sorry, I'm 50. I'm kind of on it.
Throw back to the 90s.
I'm going to get my new avatar, okay? But at any rate, during our lengthy radio commercial breaks here on YouTube, we're going to call it's like a memory lane stroll segment.
The recall.
The RE call. As you know, Costas liked the voice of Eisen. Actually, you didn't know that. You were. I'll tell you that story in a second.
Costas likes it?
Costas likes. He's heard of it. Even though we use that on Twitter, it's a hashtag.
Twitter? Does he have a?
Let's just for the moment, here during the RE call segments, some memory lane strolls. First up, Larry David. We're from the appearance he made several years ago when we put him into the role, as he always enjoys, as judge and jury of social situations that crop up in life. Take a look. Judge and jury of social situations.
Yes,
here we go. Larry David, we've done this before with you.
Yeah.
I've got 3 social situations. You are the judge and jury as to what is done. Okay. Now, we've done this one with you before.
By the way, you've come to the right guy.
I know. We've done this with you before back in the day, but it's kind of a new audience. It's been several years. So the first one is destination weddings. Okay.
It's already funny.
Destination weddings. I say to my wife, we're going to a destination wedding. We should not give a present because my presence is my present. What do you say, Larry David?
First of all, where is the wedding? How far is it?
Another country.
Okay, you don't even go. You don't go. You don't go.
But it's a close family friend.
I don't care. I am not flying 14 hours on a plane to somebody's wedding. I'm not going to do that.
Even if it's a nice destination where it's a nice hotel and you're set up?
No, 14 hours on a plane, you can't even breathe. Come on.
So what would be the distance from your house that you would
An hour and a half by car. That's it. No plane. You don't get on planes for weddings.
Right.
Okay, out of the question.
So what do you put on the RSVP? Do you write something to let them know?
Can't make it too far.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
And just leave it at that.
Leave it at that.
You don't give no follow-up phone call.
No follow-up. Nothing. No.
Okay.
They have to know when they're inviting you. They're making you go on a plane. First of all, you're spending $20,000 to get there.
That's what I'm saying. Why do I need to get them candlesticks or a gravy boat after all of that?
Exactly. If you're flying to Europe, my God, and a hotel, it's going to cost $15,000.
Yes.
Yeah. How's that for a present?
That's so. But you're saying is just cut out that middleman and just you're not even going.
Don't even go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's social situation number 2 for you, Larry David.
Sure.
You're going over to somebody's house.
Okay.
All right. For you're watching a fight, for instance.
By the way, how come you're not writing on the show with these ideas?
Hey, come on. We'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
So you're going into somebody's house for, let's say, the fight, the Mayweather-McGregor fight. This happened to one of our producers, Ken Tulo. Okay. They brought desserts. Fight ends. Nobody's touched the desserts. They like these desserts. Is it okay to take the desserts home?
Well, we did this on Seinfeld.
You did?
Yeah, the marble rye.
Well, the marble. Okay.
He wanted. Did he not want to take it home?
He did want to take it back, and they had to fish it back.
George's dad, Jerry Stiller.
That's right. Okay.
He wanted to take the marble rye home, right?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
So
am I wrong?
Well, I mean, they did try to fish the marble rye out to make sure that it came back, but.
Okay. Here's the thing.
Yes.
You bring it over. Do they know you brought it over?
Yes, they do.
Well, if they know you brought it over, then you can't take it.
But what if nobody's tried it? You know, it's not like a bottle of wine. A bottle of wine could be savored later on.
It's
a perishable.
You're bringing it to the host, right?
That's true.
The host saw it.
Mm-hmm.
It's different if the host didn't see it. Then you could sneak out with it.
So if the host never saw it, if he placed it on the table and there's no note, That's when you could take it.
If you think you're not going to get caught, yeah, then you could take it.
The problem is, though, Larry, is you never know what was looking. The eye in the sky
Well,
may catch you.
that's the gamble. Yeah. But if the host sees it, you can't take it.
All right, the last one for you, Larry, LD. Shoes off on a plane. Do you have a problem with somebody on a plane
I
taking
have the
shoes?
big problem with it. Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah. Keep them on, okay? And don't wear the shorts either. That's not good. You do not want to be sitting next to somebody in shorts. That is the worst.
So why is it? Do you have a problem with people taking their shoes off on a plane?
You know, don't make yourself. It's not your house, all right? You're outside. You're in public. I don't want to see your socks. And God forbid you have a little odor down there. Who needs that, right?
And I don't even want to know if you do have it.
Exactly. It's close quarters. Come on. Keep your shoes on.
So those who take their shoes off with shorts on and then put their socked feet up on the bulkhead.
Oh, God almighty. No, God. Oh, God. That is out. Yes.
No fly list, right?
No, please.
Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. Again, those who just watched us on youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show just enjoyed Larry David going down some social situations from back in the day on our live stream on youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. Radio audience and YouTube audience, 844-204-RICH, number to dial. I wanted to call that segment something, because we got to brand everything.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah, no, totally.
So during, again, our radio commercial breaks, during our YouTube show, we're just going to pop up videos from our day, even including just yesterday. Daniel Jeremiah on certain subjects from the Combine will pop up in a second. But anyway, long story short, I wanted to call that segment something. And as you know, we have our branded segments if having my initials in it, like the voice of Eisen.
Yeah, voice of reason.
Voice of reason, but it's R-E-S-O-N.
Right.
And Costas, on the day that Cage was born.
Oh.
And Susie was in that chair. He comes on the show and he said, it's nice to be talking to the voice of Eisen. And I'm like, Bob, we use that hashtag on Twitter to set up videos of me opining on a subject.
Sure.
Are you on Twitter?
Oh, Bob.
Oh, and that opened up a whole can of worms.
Bob's got a burner account, no doubt.
I don't
100%.
think he does.
Yeah.
Then how would he know?
Yeah.
He says that it's filtered through to him.
Filtered from whom?
Filtered.
I honestly, that man does not strike me as somebody who's got anything more than a flip phone still. I think he does have now a smartphone, but I don't believe Bob's on
He
Twitter.
doesn't have the Twitter app?
I don't think he's
Is
consuming.
his wife
might be.
filtering?
I don't know.
Somebody's
As you know,
watching.
Jim
Suze-
Cott in the booth?
Jim Cott.
I mean, like, what are we doing?
at Cott it.
Yeah.
At Cott it.
Nice. Or like 16 gold gloves, whatever number he's got.
So I wanted to call it Mem or R.E. Lane. You and Don Bowie, our coordinating producer, you nixed it.
Mem-R-E. I like
Mem-R-E
I like that
No,
one.
that smells of the natural. It's too complicated. By the way, also the second single for Dairy Stormers. Yeah,
Dairy Stormers.
Mem-R-E.
No, it's too complicated.
I like that one, Rich.
Rich's initials aren't R-Y.
If we had voted, I would have voted with that one.
They're R-E.
And I kept pounding the table for it. And it's too natural, huh?
It smells of the match.
I like that one.
You're naturally against it.
Inclined to be against
Yes,
that.
very
yes.
good. Okay, so what is our poll question today? Brought to you by Capital One, which is reimagined banking by offering savings and checking accounts with no fees or minimums, one of the nation's best savings rates. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Christopher, what do you have over there?
I like our early split here on the poll. So it's at Rich Eisen Show right now. We're celebrating the life of John Candy. Passed away unexpectedly today in 1994.
Are you kidding me?
Can't
He's
believe
been
it.
gone
26 years, guys.
26
He's been gone.
6 years.
He was only 43 at the time.
Unbelievable.
What's your favorite John Candy movie?
Oh, boy.
Okay, not talking cameos, so that's no Home Alone, no Vacation. John Candy movie here. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Okay.
The Great Outdoors, Uncle Buck, Spaceballs.
Spaceballs.
That's the list.
I wouldn't call that a John Candy movie.
Is it a Bill Pullman movie? What are we talking about? That's a John Candy movie. He's Barf.
Rick Moranis.
Daphne
is,
Zuniga?
Darth Helmet from Spaceballs.
He's Barf. Spaceballs.
We've got to be forgetting a John
That's the
Candy
list.
movie.
I mean, look, there's
844-204 Rich.
Summer Rental.
I mean, you could put
Summer Rental.
Brothers.
By the way, Summer Rental was directed by Carl Reiner.
Great
Cool
movie.
Runnings also
movie.
could have been in the
Directed by John Turteltaub,
So
whose name was mentioned here recently.
I'm a Spaceballs guy. That's why it's on there.
Spaceballs.
I mean,
Well, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles should win that in a gallop, in a runaway.
I mean,
Are you telling me it's not?
Hit the retweet because it's not in the
Because
lead
at
right
Rich
now.
Eisen Show is how you can do
At
it.
Rich Eisen Show.
844-204-RICH. If we're missing one or you want to pound the table for any of that. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles
By
is
the
one
way,
of the greatest John. We could sit here and just reconfigure this and say what's the greatest John Hughes movie of all time, and it's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Oh yeah, now I know that's a hot take.
Oh,
I'm gonna get killed. I've never watched that movie.
Oh, dude, that's a hot take. That's a hot take.
Excuse me.
That's a hot take.
Let's continue on into this venture here. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles Thanksgiving movie. In the same way that Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
I mean, I know enough about it. I know
it's all about getting home for Thanksgiving.
Okay, hold on. That's a tangent point to your original question of best
Are
John
you trying
Hughes
to focus
movie.
me in here?
And
Okay.
and it's third. Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, more superior than Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off is
And Breakfast Club,
Breakfast
two
Club.
iconic
Planes, Trains, and
80s
Automobiles
movies,
is
high
one
school.
of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is one of the sweetest, funniest movies ever. The way it ends, no spoiler alerts. The way it progresses, just some of the funniest scenes too. Steve Martin and John Candy together, two of the funniest guys of their generation.
True.
Oh man. All right, we're going up.
He's not dancing down the street in
That's
Chicago.
what Twitter's for. That's what Twitter's for. That's what YouTube's for.
But this isn't about
That's
John
what radio's
Hughes.
for.
This is about John Candy. This
No,
is
I
about
know
John
that.
Candy.
Put up another one. Best John Hughes movie too.
There you
Oh,
go.
you want to focus?
I want us
All right.
focused on John Candy today.
All right.
We got plenty of time for John Hughes.
The Moose should have told you the park's closed.
Cameo doesn't
That's a
count.
cameo.
Doesn't count.
I know.
Cameo
That's not-
doesn't
you,
count.
You can't say that.
I know.
Cameo doesn't. Just like Home Alone. Cameo
Okay.
doesn't count.
We're on youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show if you want to watch us. And obviously, stay tuned to listen to us. 844-204-RICH. If you're on hold, stay on hold. We're going to take your phone calls in the very next segment here. Scott Miller of Bleacher Report spoke to actual pitchers who lost their jobs after outings in which the Astros trash canned their way into basically making them lose their jobs. That's all next right here on The Rich Eisen Show. All right, everybody, we're back here on our live YouTube stream, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. Don Bowie, our coordinating producer, is working all the knobs back there.
I mean, he's TD.
I
He's
know.
doing everything.
And he's going to need a nap after this.
Great.
He's going to need a nap after this. But right now, or drink. So what we're doing right here on our YouTube feed is we are attempting to, hello, everybody. We're going to be here every single day for all 3 hours. Here's the lovely Michelle Monaghan, an appearance she made recently on our show. I'd like to play Celebrity True or False. Mike Del Tufo, do you have the drop here for Michelle Monaghan, Celebrity True or False?
Celebrity True or False?
You can't handle the truth.
All right.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right, let's do it.
First up, from Michelle Monaghan on Rich Eisen Show, Celebrity True or False. True or false, you hold a Class A driver's license, which permits you to legally operate an 18-wheel truck, an 18-wheeler. Is that true?
True. Formerly held, but yes, I went to truck driving school. I played a female trucker, and I went
In trucker?
In trucker, yeah. I drove that Grapevine 18-wheeler double clutch,
Come on.
Yeah, oh yeah. Parallel parked it. Did
Wait
the
a
whole
minute.
thing.
You
yeah.
parallel parked an 18-wheel truck.
Well, you have to in order to get your license.
What's that like?
It's absolutely it's mind-bending is the best way that I can explain
Now,
it.
I have
It's
to ask,
absolutely mind-bending.
I must ask, when you attempted or successfully pulled off.
Let's just say that
successfully pulled off the parallel parking of an 18-wheeler. Was there an actual vehicle in front and behind you, like that you would have to?
No, because it's basically like a loading dock, but you have to get it. Yeah.
So it's not parallel parking the way that I'm clearly thinking of it. Like there's a Honda here and a Honda there.
No, totally different. But I had it for a few years because I got it for the movie because I was like, unless I am able to actually drive this thing, then I'm not gonna do the role. And so I proved it to myself and I did it and it was great and it was so nerve-wracking. But I ended up letting the license go because if you get pulled over for any fine whatsoever, it's like triple the fine.
No kidding.
So it wasn't worth it,
So you're like, hey, I have no intention of driving.
I wasn't going to drive. Basically, I just wanted it to be like, because my brothers and my dad have theirs, right? So I just wanted to be able to call them up and be like, yo, I can drive truck now. And then my eldest brother said, yeah, but you're still ugly. And I was like, well, there you go. That's a brother for you.
That is a brother for you.
Brother.
Okay, second thing, second aspect here, celebrity true or false with Michelle Monaghan. True or false, you won multiple blue ribbons as a hog wrestler at age 13.
I did. But I wouldn't say multiple. I would say twice, 2 years in a row.
That's multiple? Anything more than one?
I think that's three.
Anything more than really?
Okay, I don't know.
Well, I guess you're a two-time blue ribbon winner.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a thing. I don't even know if they still do it anymore. It's actually, now when I think back on it, it's terrible. But it is like Buchanan County at our, summer fair.
Winthrop, Iowa, right?
Winthrop, Iowa.
Home of Robert Gallery as well, correct?
Yes.
Former Oakland Raider.
Yes.
You went to school with him?
I went to high school with him. Yeah.
Michelle Monaghan and Robert Gallery are in the same high school yearbook, is what you're saying?
Yeah. And there was only 38 people in my high school. So that's saying something, right? Small world.
I assume he was a mountain of an individual.
Yes, a mountain. Well, the whole family was, really. I mean, they were all amazing athletes. So incredible athletes, great family, really nice, very,
big human beings.
Yeah.
And then again, you've already, I guess, done this. You already hit this. You were one semester away from a journalism degree when you said, screw it, I'm just going to go acting.
Exactly.
And your first acting gig was what?
This show called Young Americans. It lasted a season on the CW network. But it allowed me, CW.
Sure.
But I didn't have an agent at that time, so I was able to cold call some people, and I knocked on my agent's doors 20 years ago. She's still my agent today. I said, I don't know what I'm doing, but I got a job, and I said, I promise I'll work hard. And she said, I believe you. Let's give it a shot. And
okay. So then, who's crazier, Harrelson or McConaughey? Which one's crazier?
That's a tough one, man. They're just two peas in a pod.
I mean, we haven't had Woody Harrelson.
We've not had Woody.
Oh my gosh, you've got to get Woody here.
Well, I mean, he's apparently got to get off the island of Hawaii.
Yeah,
first.
No, that's true.
That's what I've been told.
That is true. It's hard to get him off.
What we're gonna do right here is go back into time.
Yesterday on the Rich Eisen Show.
Spike, you're really going to go back next year? You're really going to give this guy millions of your dollars to go sit there? This guy's run off Oakley, he's run off Marv Albert, and he's running off Spike Lee. And how, Knicks fans, he has not run you off yet? I don't comprehend it. Because if the Knicks do finally stop sucking, you can watch it from home. Welcome to the Dolan Wormhole, Spike.
Another Rich Eisen Show is coming at you right now.
And now, turn it up. Let's go.
This is the Rich Eisen Show. Live from Los Angeles.
Crazy talk.
Heard nationwide. Online at richeisenshow.com.
You have to sit here, if you're San Francisco, and say, we love Jimmy G, but do we think in the next 2 years this is a better option than Tom Brady?
The Rich Eisen Show.
And if the answer is no, you got to do it.
Earlier on the show, Sports Illustrated senior writer Chris Mannix. Coming up, Bleacher Report MLB columnist Scott Miller, senior writer for the MMQB, Albert Breer. And now, It's Rich Eisen.
Oh, yeah, everybody. I'm just tweeting things out in the commercial break, just trying to be completely open and communicating with everybody out there. 844-204-RICH, number to dial. We're live here in Los Angeles on the Rich Eisen Show. Chris Mannix was on in hour number one to update us on everything going on in the NBA and the Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder world. If you missed any event, you can go to our YouTube page, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. Another way to watch us live every single day. We are live right now. And Scott Miller from Bleacher Report is going to join us. I can't tell you more about this piece, and obviously he will, coming up in about 20 minutes' time, that went on Bleacher Report just yesterday. A wild, moving piece by Scott Miller called Ambushed by the Astros. And I guess that can now include Alex Rodriguez, but we'll hit that in a second.
Nice.
He interviewed at least half a dozen pitchers who got lit up by the Astros and back in 2017, and the video evidence and audio evidence shows that the Astros were doing their trash can banging worst and lighting people up. One of the only pitchers in this article who came out the other side with a long-term contract is Alex Cobb, then of the Tampa Bay Rays. Chris Archer still in, but I mean, we've got some other guys who got lit up and then got sent down, and some who never were brought back in the major leagues. And the story of Cobb in particular is quite something, where he got lit up, and then the reliever named Chase Whitley got lit up right after. And Miller spoke to both of them. Cobb, who's now at Baltimore, and Chase Whitley, who's now working as a PE teacher. And in this game, Cobb got lit up, and they banged the trash can 20 times, and then 19 times when Whitley was out there on the mound. How about that? 39 times they're using it. And some of these, and Cobb tells the story about how an unnamed Astro came up to him afterwards to warn him that he was tipping his pitches. And Cobb, to this day, believes that player, along with the same player that Chris Archer told The Athletic, that an Astros player FaceTimed him to tip, that he was tipping his pitches. So Cobb is telling Bleacher Report somebody went up to him and said, "You're tipping your pitches," from the Astros. The next day, everybody's piecing this together. Based on an article in The Athletic, Archer was told by an Astros player via FaceTime that he was tipping his pitches. And here's the aspect about it that...
Was it Mike Fiers?
I don't know. It's. I guess if it was, his name would have been put on it.
Yeah, probably.
But here's the thing that makes it difficult to say, take their championship away, take it away. Cheaters. The game in which Archer was told by an Astros player the next day that via FaceTime that he was tipping his pitches, the Rays won 6-4.
Won the game he pitched. Interesting.
Yeah. So they're banging the trash can sometimes to no effect in terms of a win. But Cobb tells a story about how he got lit up in that game so badly, it stuck with him for weeks. What's wrong with me? And the Astros are in his head saying, "You're tipping your pitches." And he wasn't tipping his pitches. They were stealing the signs via technology. Cheating. I'm telling you, the story is just amazing. So Scott Miller is going to join us in about 15 minutes' time to talk about more of it. Now then, Alex Rodriguez is something else, man. And, he basically said yesterday that the Astros are remorseless. And his remorsefulness has been, no doubt, his pathway from being suspended for a year for PED use, for performance-enhancing drugs, all the way through to now, where he's on not one but two baseball networks as the face of baseball. Because he did go on an apology tour and a I'm sorry tour and being totally remorseful tour.
He did. The best we've ever seen.
But he got to keep his ring, didn't he?
Sure did.
And I, as a Yankee fan, I'm very happy that he was destroying the Philadelphia Phillies that year.
Yeah, he was one of the major reasons they won that year.
Now, we're assuming he was hopped up on something. But we never know.
I don't know. We don't know. He says he stopped in 03, 04.
So, again, it just shows you a couple things. How difficult it is for everybody to cast a stone, even a Yankee fan like me. I can't sit here and say, shame on you, Astros, when A-Rod is saying that you're not remorseful enough, and he's the one who, I would say single-handedly, but was easily the biggest force for the Yankees in that playoff postseason run. And it's easy for him to say you got to be remorseful. It took him a long time, man. It took him a long time.
Sure did.
Let's not forget, there were people who were paid to have signs out in front of baseball's office saying you're doing him wrong, and he ran off to Mike Francesa. I'd still love to know who's the one who sat him down to say, here's how we're going to play this. And you're going to wind up being just fine. Go on the remorse tour, make fun of yourself on the ESPYs, wind up on ESPN and Fox.
Whoever it is, he didn't pay them enough because it's the most genius sports PR 180 we've ever seen.
We'll talk about all of it with Scott Miller in a second. Let's go to the phone lines. We promised at 844-204-RICH, number to dial. Rafi in Israel. Is that how we're rolling here on the Rich Eisen Show through,
I think so.
Through YouTube, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show? What's up, Rafi?
Hey, Rich. I've actually been listening to the podcast for about 6 months now. So
appreciate it. Welcome. How are you?
Big fan. First of all, just your poll question. It is a shame that you don't have Spaceballs or Cool Runnings in that list. But whatever.
Spaceballs on the list. Cool Runnings not.
Okay. Best John Candy movie ever.
On the list?
Yes, it is.
Spaceballs.
Go for it. Go and vote for it, brother.
Will do. Okay. So here's my question.
Yes, sir.
Everyone's been talking about where Tom Brady's going to go. What's Tom Brady going to do? Nobody seems to be talking about the other half of that equation. What does the AFC East look like? Now, I'm a Bills fan. Hardcore. I'm the only Bills fan in Israel. Guaranteed. Right?
Yep.
The Bills actually made the playoffs for the second time in 3 years or second time in 20 years, depending on how you look at it, right?
Okay.
But what do they need to do to actually start doing that consistently? Is it just hope that Brady doesn't go back to the Patriots?
No.
The division is theirs. Do they need to lock up a receiver? Is it offensive line and defensive line? Like, what's your take on where this team can actually start competing for maybe another shot at Super Bowl glow?
Look, here's the deal, Rafi, and thank you for the call. Really appreciate it. All the way from Israel. How about that? Remember when we were on NFL Now? We used to get calls from all over the world.
We would get random.
That was in year one.
Dude.
Man, what's
international
old,
shout out?
What's old is new again. The Bills should have been one of the final 8 teams in the NFL playoffs this year.
Yeah, they totally blew it in the wild card game.
I was talking about it with Daniel Jeremiah during the NFL Network broadcast of the Combine when we were showing Sean McDermott, Bills coach, in the stands. That's one of my favorite things to do.
All the coaches
show all the coaches hanging out
yeah.
there that haven't already skipped out of town because they're watching it on NFL Network, which, by the way, there's a few of them who shall remain nameless. But this team, the Bills, should, without Brady, if we're talking about starting from scratch with Justin Herbert or Jared Stidham, or even the latest rumor, Andy Dalton. Heard about that one?
So the Patriots? Yeah, I've heard it.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I've heard it.
Even with that, Josh Allen in year 2, John Brown with Allen year 2. Allen would be in year, obviously, 3 now, but in year 2 of being the full-time, all 16-week starter of this team. They should be right up there as favorites in the division.
If Brady's not back.
Correct.
Yeah. I think so.
They should. They were on that Saturday where I was flying back from the Watson-Winston-a-thon from Tampa. They gave the Patriots on that Saturday night a run for their money. Now, I know you got to give them more than run for money to win a division. I think the Bills are a stout young team. Add another playmaker, man. Add another playmaker out wide. Obviously, just add to a little bit more to that defense and let Allen continue on.
All right, here's your Bills schedule if you want to play this game already. Of course, the AFC East opponents plus the Kansas City Chiefs, the Los Angeles Chargers, the Los Angeles Rams, Seattle Seahawks, Pittsburgh Steelers, Arizona Cardinals, Denver Broncos, Oakland Raiders, 49ers, and Titans.
I know. You're reading an old list there since it's now the Vegas Raiders. I mean,
tough
we
schedule.
could sit here and play all this stuff.
Tough schedule,
We have
though.
no idea who's going where yet. We have no idea. Free agency could change all that stuff. Draft's going to change all that stuff. I'm just not going to go in that direction yet. I'll just, look. The Bills can be quite relevant. You know what an interesting decision needs to be made here is by Washington.
On their quarterback.
That's damn straight.
Yeah.
That evaluation is going to have to happen in the next 6 to 8 weeks. What if they fall in love with Tua? What if they fall in love with Tua and say, we have got enough on defense and Tua comes in enough on offense that we are not going to be drafting top 5 next year? We're not going to be up here next year. We don't have the capital to go up and get Trevor Lawrence. We don't have the capital to go up and get somebody else. We're here right now. Go up and get Tua and tell Dwayne Haskins we're so very sorry. But
And you're
that's the way we're going.
Chase Young to the Lions, like Matt Patricia, like you said yesterday, will attempt to do a cartwheel.
I know. What did you feel like, if you will? What emotion did you have when you met Tua at the Super Bowl?
I was nervous to meet Tua because we had heard for years how amazing he was, how nice he was, how intelligent and fun to be around.
Yeah.
And he outdid all of those expectations.
Imagine what he's like in the room when you're trying to figure out, what's your favorite play. Tell me about this. Tell me about that. Imagine you get your 15 minutes with him. What you're like right there. Not saying Haskins isn't that guy. They got a decision to make. And they have to really think hard about it. 1,000% Redskins fans are going to have to sit there and think hard about whether Tua is the right guy. Just some of the things to kind of hit on. When we come back, Scott Miller is going to be joining us here on the show from Bleacher Report. And again, amazing story, talking to people, talking to major league pitchers that are now minor league pitchers or major league pitchers that are now physical education teachers because the Astros cheated and knocked them not only out of the game but out of the league. It's called Ambushed by the Astros. That's next right here. And your phone calls 844-204-RICH here on The Rich Eisen Show on this radio station near you and on youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. Let's talk about the Honda Passport, everybody. Spring is a great time to get outside and be active. If you got plans this very spring, the Honda Passport is there for you for your biggest adventure. All-wheel drive, intelligent traction management, and underfloor storage. Underfloor storage. So if you are loading up the family for a spring break trip, and you got the whole back of the Passport, you got the whole cargo area totally full. You got underfloor storage for all your gear. And then on top of all that, you've got loaded with tech. The Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, Wi-Fi hotspot, the Cabin Talk PA system. My kids dig it. I like it actually a little bit more because you can basically now hear this, back off. I'm looking at the rearview mirror. I can see you're touching your brother. Stop it. Stop hitting him. It's capable, again, on almost any terrain thanks to the available all-wheel drive underfloor storage to make the springtime trips go anywhere, have all the gear, keep your family nice and safe with Honda Sensing as well. We're back with you at 844-204-RICH on The Rich Eisen Show. Okay, Kevin Pollak was here just a few weeks ago, told some great from the set stories of A Few Good Men. But this one from Casino, being there on the set with Don Rickles and Robert De Niro and obviously Scorsese. Check it out. Kevin Pollak here on the Rich Eisen Show. And in terms of Casino, of all the people that I would want to ask you about, it has to be Rickles.
Don Rickles.
Hands down, right?
Yeah, because watching him rip into De Niro on set in the middle of a take, there's no greater joy, really.
I think I've seen that on Twitter, right? Isn't that what did he do? He just ripped on him in the middle of a take, or?
Well, the camera's rolling around the casino floor. There's 100 extras.
Right.
Rickles is standing next to De Niro in a scene. De Niro is acting, saying his dialogue. Rickles' character is just standing there, as he does for most of the film. He's not supposed to speak. And in the middle of the take, he looked at De Niro and said, "Is that the way you're going to do it? Like that? No, you got the awards. I'm sure you know what you're doing. Go ahead." And, you know, every sphincter tightens on set. Nobody knows how Bob, as we're forced to call him, is going to react.
Right.
But Rickles knew that he owned De Niro because De Niro worshipped Rickles. And Rickles told me this one day. He said, early on, he said, "I own this guy because when he was a kid, there were two types of peer groups on the street corners in New York. When De Niro grew up, there was doo-wop groups and put-down groups. And Demure De Niro was in a put-down group. Your mother this, your mother that, right?
Right.
So to them, Rickles was God. And Rickles found out about it and went after him every day.
Did he really?
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. Yeah.
Wow. Kevin Pollak here on the Rich Eisen Show. And then another one, too. Grumpy old men being around Lemon and Mathau for as much as you did, too.
Speaking of sports, you know, Mathau had a very famous gambling issue. In fact, at his memorial on the back of the program were his picks for the following Sunday.
Are you serious?
When he passed.
Get out.
Yeah.
Walter Mathau.
Yeah. When I met him on the set for the very first time, you never know how you're going to meet someone. In this case, it was on the set a couple hours before we were going to shoot our first scene together. The director just said, you know, "This is Kevin Pollak. He's going to play your son." And then the director walked away to go check on lights or something. And I'm stuck here, and I foolishly decided to make small talk with Walter Mathau. And I said, "So, Walter, script's pretty good, huh?" And he said, "The script sucks, kid. I owe my bookie $2 million." Yeah. He wasn't kidding about the debt.
That's what he said about grumpy old men.
Yep.
I love the movie.
I mean, he was right about the debt. Yeah. He really was. It's a great movie. He and Lemon were my heroes. You know, I grew up, character actors were my favorites. I dreamt of being one. And here's two character actors who got to be leading men and, you know, just extraordinary, iconic actors. So to study at their feet was like Mount Rushmore.
Right.
You know?
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239.
All right, Mikey, we're back here live. That was funny, man. Walter Mathau. Script sucks, kid. I owe my bookie $2 million.
I mean, his funeral pamphlet had his pics on the back.
A real-life buttermaker.
Yeah, he's amazing.
A total real-life buttermaker, man.
That's great.
We're getting a few... you know, we're getting a few stripes for our poll question with John Candy. No, you can't make that face.
I can because he's like the fourth guy.
He's the fourth,
Hold on. Have you ever seen Stripes?
Yes. It's only half a movie.
Sergeant Hulk is in front of Candy. And Marion
Call Mayock
Ramis.
right now. It's half a movie.
Call Mayock. All right. Should I text him?
Yes.
It's the only thing I can text him. All right. We're back in a second.
And then sneak in where's Brady going?
Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. We're live on from our Los Angeles studios. 844-204-RICH, number to dial. Getting a lot of John Candy's and Stripes references, but you won't put it up there. What is our poll question as it currently stands right now? Middle of hour number 2 here on the show, brought to you by Capital One, which has reimagined banking by offering savings and checking accounts with no fees or minimums, one of the nation's best savings rates. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
All right, your favorite John Candy movie. Passed away today in 1994. So Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Great Outdoors, Uncle Buck, Spaceballs. Great Outdoors at the bottom here, 16%.
Right.
Spaceballs, 21%. Uncle Buck, 32%. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, 32%.
So I put my thumb on the scale. I do love
Uncle
that
Buck
movie.
was winning before you had said that.
It's another John Hughes movie, by the way. How many John Hughes movies was John Candy in? I got to tell you, man, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is just one of the funniest, again, sweetest movies right down to the center. It hits you. It hits me in the gut every time I see it. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Great flick.
844-204-RICH, number to dial. We've got him on from Bleacher Report because he had an incredible piece about the human element and fallout of the Astros cheating scandals. The author of Ambush by the Astros, which you can read on BleacherReport.com right now, Scott Miller. How are you, Scott?
Hey, Rich, real good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I guess what gave you the idea to start going to people whose careers were altered by this? Walk me through that.
Well, obviously the big, enormous story over the winter and over the last couple months of baseball has been this Astros scandal, and people can't seem to get enough of it. But we've talked so much about like what they did and the World Series in 2017, and Darvish, was he tipping his pitches? Oh no, now maybe the Astros knew it was coming, and Darvish and Kershaw, but. Beyond that, in talking with a couple of my editors at Bleacher Report, we're kind of almost brainstorming different, there's a lot more to this than just that. And, so one of them is just, that human cost, and it turned out there were a number of guys trying to cling to their careers because I think in professional sports in general, but in baseball, Rich, to me, that's the one thing, the biggest thing I think the fans the average fan doesn't realize. They say, oh, these guys are major leaguers. They haven't made. The one thing I think that people don't understand is the rampant insecurity in the game at all levels. Even the superstars, they're insecure because they have to stay playing at that same level. Well, you go all the way down to the fringe guys, people trying to take their jobs, and then, maybe the guy, they have a tenuous hold on their spots anyway, and then you get to a case like the Astros in 2017 where, they knew what was coming, which pitches were going to be thrown, and, the fringe guys, so many of them, after the guy faced the Astros and get dispatched to the minor leagues later that night or the next day. And, we just wonder what was that like? And especially now when these guys are some of them are out of the game or some of them are clinging to their careers. And now that they know now what they didn't know then, what's their reaction now? And, there's just a human cost. We get wrapped up in numbers so much in sports in general.
Right.
But, the human cost is always interesting to me.
So for those who have not had the benefit of reading your piece, give everyone an example of a story of somebody who got lit up and then lost their job and how they're feeling about it today. Scott.
The guy I led with, Anthony Bass, Texas Rangers 2017, and he's in the minor leagues. He's in AAA for the Texas Rangers, and he's trying to get back to the majors. He had been 2013, 14, 15, 16. He had started in the majors and not ever finished a full season, but he had pitched a fair amount. So then 2017, he's in the minors for Texas, still trying to get back to the promised land. So he was with their AAA team outside of Houston, Round Rock, and he gets a call in May. It's early May, and he's pitched in a game AAA game that night. He's back to his hotel or back to his apartment where his pregnant wife is, and he arrives late after the game, 11:30 or whatever, at night. And he gets a call from the Rangers. Hey, we're in Houston, and we're calling you up. We need you at tomorrow's game. We need you to drive there. It's like maybe a 3.5 hour drive. And so he's like, okay, so got to be there in time for tomorrow. So he drives through the night, gets there to Houston, and gets called on to pitch that day. Couple innings, gets hit pretty hard. according to the website that keeps track of all the trash can bangs, it was minimal that day, but there were some bangs when he pitched. So right after the game, gets called into Jeff Bannister's office, then the manager of the Rangers, and he says, "Hey, I'm sorry to do this to you, but, we're going to send you back to AAA." So he drives the 3 hours back. Meanwhile, when he got called up, it's 11:30 at night. He's leaving in a hurry for Houston. His wife says, I thought it was very poignant, says, "Okay, I'll see you when I see you." And in that sentence, to me, encapsulates the pride in your spouse, the hope for good things to happen. "I'll see you when I see you." She didn't know. He might have been in the majors. She might not have seen him for a month, until the next time they visited. Turned out one night later, he calls her, "Hey, I'm on my way back home, honey." And he tells me at the time, he said, "Yeah, I get it. We understand you get called up for one game, then sent back. It happens sometimes." So he said, actually, she was more upset than I was in the moment. She was like, "Geez, basically like they're abusing you. They make you drive 3 hours for one game, then send you back." And little did they know at the time, it was the Astros that were doing the abusing.
It's amazing, Scott.
I mean,
it's just remarkable. And one of the stories that you told or had told to you involving Alex Cobb, the fact that he was told after a game by one of the Astros that he was tipping his pitches, and instead there were 20 bangs of the trash can when Cobb was on the mound. And he's put it all together thinking that not only was he cheated against, but he was having the tracks covered by a player coming across as being altruistic to help him out. What in the world is the psychology behind all that, Scott?
Yeah, it turned out the interesting thing that happened to him and Chris Archer, who at the time were in the same rotation in Tampa Bay, and it was in the same series, July 31st, August 2nd of 2017. And you can only conclude, as Alex Cobb did, that basically, somebody comes up to him and says, "Hey, hang with him, man. Your stuff was really good, but you were tipping your pitches. I just want to tell you." Well, the only conclusion is basically the Astros were trying to throw pitchers in other clubs off the scent of what they were doing by saying, "Hey, your stuff's good. Hang in there. You were just tipping your pitches." And Alex Cobb said he was a free agent that winter. He was about going into his free agent year. He was having a terrific season, and that one outing in Houston was by far his worst outing in 2017. And so he said, looking back, he felt like his pitches were pretty good, but he was just getting clobbered. And then now knowing not what he knows now, looking back, he's like, clearly they were trying to throw me off the scent. And the problem, aside from the face value part of that, he said the psychology of a pitcher, man, when you get hit, he said, "I admit it, we're like drama queens. And when we get hit hard, it feels sometimes like you're never going to have another good outing." And he said, they told me the guy wouldn't tell me what I was tipping, but it was something with my glove, he said. So right after that, as you would imagine, Cobb, his pitching coach, and other members of the Rays went to the computer, and they're watching over and over, looking for what am I doing? What is he doing with his glove? What's he tipping? And as Cobb said, now as he looks back, it was all just a bunch of wasted time. And they the fallout of it was the next several outings. He was paranoid about what he was throwing and making sure he wasn't tipping. When it turned out, he probably never was in the first place.
Last one for you, Scott, is have we determined, or in what you're talking to any of these players, the extent of postseason use of this? Are we ever going to find out what actually happened? The commissioner has said that based on their evidence, this scheme was used in the 2017 postseason. And we still don't know which round it was in, unless it's on this website that you mentioned in your piece called Sign Stealing Scandal, which is a game-by-game breakdown that an Astros fans put together. Do we know, have you gleaned any information on that front as exactly what was used in the postseason by the Astros?
It's still murky, Rich. I think it's pretty clear based on what the commissioner said, what the investigation revealed, and anecdotal results. I think it's pretty clear they were doing this all the way through the World Series. I mean, every round of the postseason. I mean, Clayton Kershaw threw 50 in Game 5 of the World Series in Houston, and that was a game he got lit up pretty good. As Tom Verducci reported, he threw 51 breaking balls, and he got 0 swings and misses. I mean, that is just almost impossible to do, especially for a pitcher of Kershaw's caliber, to throw that many breaking balls and you get 0 swings and misses. So it's murky. It's pretty much based on the commissioner's report that it was going on throughout the postseason. It's probably also worth mentioning that it's believed other clubs were doing it too, just not maybe to the extent of the Astros. Maybe they didn't have it wired as well as they did. But, that's the other thing here too. I think the Astros are getting all the heat. And, I don't know that other clubs were lily clean either. But, what happened is, there was a whistleblower in the case of the Astros. Mike Fiers basically handed baseball its investigation, said, here's what happened, here's how it happened. And to your point as well, I mean, the whole video where people went crazy over saying, oh, my gosh, it looks like Jose Altuve was wearing a buzzer, and there were reports that they were wearing, as they say, wearable technology. Fiers didn't mention anything of that nature. And, of course, Manfred said, well, we investigated that, but we didn't find anything. But Manfred said, can I say with 100% certainty they were not wearing wearable technology? No, but we couldn't find anything. So that, to me, is also just another example of, baseball hasn't found a whole lot, or at least if they have, they haven't broadcast it other than, what Mike Fiers laid out.
Scott, thanks for the time, man. Great piece. Great job.
Thank you, Rich. I appreciate it.
You got it. Scott
Thank
Miller,
you.
check it out. Ambushed by the Astros on Bleacher Report. It's all going to come out, man. It's all going to come out.
At what point, though, do we
It's all going to
talk
come
about
out.
something else?
Well,
like how long is this going to hang over Major League Baseball
I
this
wasn't
year?
planning on talking about it until I read this piece.
Right.
I mean, honestly, we're waiting for the Red Sox report to come out,
but
which
you're
imagine
hearing
it's going to have
players-
to happen between now and opening day, because
Right.
the last thing they want to do in Major League Baseball is have this bleed into the playing season. And it will bleed into the playing season how the Astros fare. The first time they're on the road, are they booed? First time in Oakland, what happens when Fiers pitches against them? First time that they're in the Yankee Stadium, which you said won't happen until September.
It doesn't happen
based
for a
on the
while.
schedule. So when the Astros go into New York in September, a whole season will happen.
Right.
What will happen when an Astros shows up in Dodger Stadium for the All-Star game? What's going to happen when a hometown fan holds up a sign against them and it's stolen, if you will, by a member of the Dolan-minded security staff in Houston? So, and again, somebody... I'll ask you this question right now.
But we're miking guys up for spring training games, and dudes are making jokes about it. Like, I don't think that's going away anytime soon, especially if they start miking up players for regular season
I don't
games.
think you're going to start miking up players for regular season games, and they'll be just joking around about that stuff. At some point, the games are going to start, and we are going to be focused on who's in first, who's not, who's this, and who's that, and there'll be something else that comes up. Wearable technology, by the way. Great name. That's kind of like out of the wardrobe malfunction world of verbiage. Wearable technology, which I guess my watch could technically be, right?
Yeah, your smartwatch for sure.
All said. I'll ask you this, Chris.
Okay.
Because I've mentioned, somebody is going to, if you will, grow a conscience on this subject. Somebody from 2017 is going to have a life event that causes them to take stock and then say something at some point. Maybe not this year, maybe sometime down the road, like the birth of a child. I'm serious. You have actually experienced that in the last week.
I have.
Cage is officially 8 days old today. Almost right.
Happy birthday,
actually,
buddy.
8 days.
8 days and
8
3
days.
hours.
Exactly. Your miracle has lasted as long as Hanukkah's.
Not the same.
To bring up the Maccabees. Okay, so honestly, I don't know if you've had a moment to reflect on things that, I don't know if you've cried at your first Target commercial yet.
I was crying in Chipotle day of birth.
Okay, there you go. So somebody is going to have a moment in their lives where they're going to be this baby that's born. How will I explain myself? What example do I want to set for this being? I don't think I'm overstating it. And at some point, somebody's going to come out and say that. What if you walk into, what is Garrett Cole saying to the Yankees right now? What are the Yankees saying to Garrett Cole?
He's teaching them how to do it.
Oh, jeez.
Man, you're crazy if you didn't think other teams are doing this.
Well, you just gave me the Alex Cora wink from the podium in London last summer when he talked about, when asked about how his pitchers were getting lit up and his concern over his pitching staff, the way the Yankees destroyed the Red Sox in that 2-game series in London, his answer was he's always thought the most valuable Yankee all year long was the addition of Carlos Beltran to the front office, and winked at somebody.
You're crazy if you think the Astros were the only ones doing this.
I agree with you. Because everybody had the monitor. Everybody had the feed of what was going on the field for the purposes of instant replay.
Right.
Everyone had it.
And these are the only guys who came up with, hey, you know what we should do? What if we did this to maybe figure out what the pitch is?
The psychology of this just totally is fascinating to me.
What, the ain't cheating if you ain't trying to find cheating?
The psychology of it is fascinating to me in the fact that, number one, a guy who apparently has a degree in that field was the manager, right? A.J. Hinch had, if you look up his history, I think he has a degree in psychology. And the psychology of a future Hall of Famer or a guy with Hall of Fame credentials like Carlos Beltran coming up with the idea, did he just stroll through one day, like on the way to the men's room, past the monitor, and he saw a sign flashed, and he knew it was in real time, and just like a light bulb went over his head, and goes, you know what? I just saw that. And I saw that it was a breaking pitch. And somebody in the front office, code breaker, comes up with the ability to do it. And you put 2 and 2 together, and then all of a sudden, let's try it out. And did they go to the manager's office first? Did they run it up A.J. Hinch's flagpole, and he says, no problem, try it? Or he's there one day, and he hears a trash can bang and asks, what were you guys up to? In the same way as how did Verlander learn about it when he showed up after the stroke of midnight at that trade deadline in 2017? Did somebody take him aside and say, this is what we've been doing?
Or is he sitting there going, what's that banging?
What's that banging? Why is it happening 20 times in a game?
Yeah.
And in a league where everybody's antenna is up about...
On this stuff anyway.
On this stuff anyway. On this stuff anyway, to the point where, you know, an algebra equation is being created by somebody to replace the normal pitcher-catcher sign strategy to say, okay, the number of people on base plus the number of runs, so it's X plus Y equals pitch sign. That in this day and age, where everybody's antenna is up, they're banging on a trash can 39 times in a game. Talk about brazen. Talk about, like, because everybody's already listening for a whistle or a clap.
Yeah.
Or what are they doing at third base with the coach or first base with the coach? They're just like, stop us.
Yeah.
What? I mean, the psychology about all of it to me is so fascinating, and how you could just turn your brain off to the fact that it's just at the very basic level so freaking wrong. And the ultimate performance enhancer in the history of baseball. No matter how hopped up, you create some sort of chemical reaction, adding a fertility drug with a horse tranquilizer, and put it in a syringe, and suddenly you can
hit it to the moon.
Well, because you recover so fast.
Right.
Their oblique injury you can recover much faster from because you've taken this right in your left butt cheek. I'd rather have 9 of those guys in the lineup, 1 through 9, than anybody who hears and knows what's coming. The psychology of it. And I'm wondering if any of the guys, just to bring a full circle here, any of the guys who did this reads this article and thinks, I gotta take stock. That guy's out of the league. His wife was pregnant at the time. What were we doing? And by the way, using it in another part in Scott Miller's piece, using it up 16-7. They were banging trash cans up by 10, 9, 10. Like, how many yachts can you water ski behind? How much cheating are you going to do?
I just love the gall of, hey, guy we just wrecked with this, you were tipping your pitches.
And if any of you out there have the Big Poppy / Jessica Mendoza mindset of Fires should have kept his mouth shut, or why didn't he speak up when it was going down? Right. The reason why he blew the whistle to The Athletic is exactly this story, filled with people, young guys or journeymen, leaving their pregnant wives in a hotel saying, I got to go do this thing. And she says, I'll see you when I see you. And she sees him the next day because he's been sent down again because of that. That's why Fires blew the whistle. Oh, my gosh. 844-204-RICH, number to dial. Albert Breer on the subject of the National Football League, the latest on Brady, the free agent hunt for so many other teams, and a member of the Colts has pounded the table for his current quarterback as well. So much to discuss on that front. And then I do want to hit the Run Rich Run front. The Tennessee Titans have asked me to mention something on their behalf. That will be next right here on the Rich Eisen Show. But for the youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show audience watching us live right there on youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show, the great Larry David showing off the weirdest putting stroke this side of somebody playing hockey. That's next. LD on our Callaway Corner. Some guests, when they come on the show, we ask, do you want to sit on our couch, our green room couch? Right. Or if you're, golf inclined or want to have some fun, go on our Callaway Corner.
Take a few putts.
Larry David, Mr. Golf, as you've seen from his show, went on the corner. Take a look. Caught your putting style moments ago when you were on our Callaway Corner. There you are.
Yeah.
I thought you were joking.
No, it's not a joke.
You really get down?
Yes.
Like with your down on the ground with
I get my hand right near the putter head. One day I was on the putting green and I thought, I really want to get closer to the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be one with the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started to put my hand way down on the shaft, and I liked it. It's disgusting to watch. Obama's so offended by it, he has to turn away when I go down to the ball like that.
So what did you give him? Do you give a heads up? Like, hey, I'm about to putt. You haven't seen anybody do this before, but do you give a heads up?
You mean for people who haven't seen it?
Yeah, and you force them like, hey,
Yeah,
Barack Obama, heads up.
Yeah, this is what's going to happen. Yeah.
So you do give a heads up.
I do give a heads up. Yeah.
Because I guess you control the club head better. Is that what you're saying? The club.
You know what? I was such a bad putter any other way. I've tried everything: cross hand, the claw, all of it.
Claw. I can't do the claw.
I can't do any of it.
Did you ever have the big belly putter thing?
I had that too. I did the stomach. I've done everything. Nothing works. I did one hand. I did lefty. I've done lefty cross hand. I've done everything imaginable. And I can't understand why I'm not better at it.
But now you're settling on this one.
I've settled. I'm over a year on this now.
All right.
By the way, I'm still not good.
Well, I mean, what do you shoot? You say that publicly? What you shoot, or
what my handicap is?
Yeah.
I'm on the top of 14.
Well, that's terrific.
The index is 12.6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look at you. That's fantastic.
Not terrible.
That was one of my favorite Curb episodes, is when you're waiting on the tee box on a par 3 with these people just messing around on the green and just trying to wait, like what the hell's taking so long?
What did I do?
Oh, it's fantastic. No, it's just, you start complaining about people taking, they're trying to win, the green jacket up there.
But you know what? I'd rather wait for people than have people wait for me.
Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. Larry putting, how do I describe this for the radio audience? How would you describe it for a radio audience that takes, Larry, your putting stance?
My hand is at the club head. My ass is in the air.
It is truly remarkable.
It's like Happy Gilmore.
Is that what you really like?
Yeah, Happy Gilmore was like, I'm a hockey player, so he had the.
This doesn't hurt your back, Larry?
No. No, you see, I've just missed 3 in a row. So much for this putter.
Well, try a different putter. Craftsman can blame the tools here on the Rich Eisen Show.
I can't believe Larry's friends let him putt like this. How much grief did you take the first time you tried this?
They've seen me do so many different putting styles that
they just excuse it.
Yeah,
right.
They were kind of used to it.
Well,
let me try this one.
You got it. I want to thank Chris Webber, Ron Darling, and, of course, LD. Catch Kirby Enthusiasm, episode 4 of 10 on Sunday night. JB Smoove will be here Thursday. We'll see. We'll show. I can't wait to show. Has JB Smoove ever seen this putting style? Because that would be great.
What happens if you hit your front foot with the ball?
Have you ever done that?
No, it doesn't hurt my back.
That's incredible.
I don't know why.
You're superhuman. Superhuman. On tomorrow's show, Jessica Mendoza and Joe Buck will talk baseball with them. Tony Gonzalez, football with them. Joe Montaigne stops by. His Cubs taking on the Dodgers tonight. And then Elliot Gould and JB Smoove in studio on Thursday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice lineup.
You're kicking it off, Larry. You're kicking it off.
I like Jessica Mendoza.
I do, too. I like her, too. Thanks for coming in, Larry. I
Pleasure,
appreciate it.
Rich.
You guys. That's Larry David, everybody, here on the Rich Eisen Show.
Thanks, Larry. Be well, buddy.
There you go.
So long.
You got it. You should take the putter.
Huh?
I feel like take the pen. Take the putter. Oh, man. That was when he stuck around one more segment, right? Just wanted to putt around?
Yeah, that was at the end.
Yeah.
We're signing off.
Yeah, he's walking off.
We're signing off.
Very funny.
What would happen if you ever saw somebody
putting like that?
Yeah.
I would openly make fun of them.
Who's calling you right now?
Oh, that was the timer for the countdown on the video.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Look at you. Look at you.
We're
being on it.
we got a lot going on.
I know. We're all spinning a lot of plates,
blocking
everybody.
bots over here.
I mean, bots.
What is going on
insane.
with the feed here?
TJ had the line of the day, though.
No.
Because I feel like Jon Snow fighting the White Walkers off. I was done.
I mean, we're sorry about that feed.
I think it's just something that happens.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. We'll be back in a second. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. So I want to say something here on behalf of the Tennessee Titans. You saw the awful news that a tornado hit the Nashville area.
Yeah, Monday night.
Oh, my gosh. Amazing that they were able to have a Super Tuesday primary in the area. But the Titans say if you want to in any way help the emergency response efforts, you can donate to the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee at cfmt.org. Okay? cfmt.org. One more time, cfmt.org to help donate in the relief effort in Nashville. The Tennessee Titans are we're a big fan of theirs. We had them on a whole bunch of their players on, right? To the point where when Vrabel sat down on the air on NFL Network on, I guess it was the first night. He came on Thursday night, and this was before the FaceTime.
Oh, yeah, that was before.
With Brady and pre-FaceTime. Right. Otherwise, I don't know if he'd have come on. But he sits down, he turns to Daniel Jeremiah, and he goes, he's a big fan of the Tennessee Titans. Pointing to me.
Oh.
Well, I mean, look, we have Taylor Lewan on, even though he refuses to have a motor in his bus for his podcast.
He says he's working on it.
I'm sorry, Will Compton's podcast, too.
He's working on it, he says.
Please. He put out an Instagram video of him and his wife in some cabin somewhere and just showing off how romantic he is following the rose petals.
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you see my response to it?
No.
I said I thought it would be leading to a motor for your bus.
Did he respond?
He did.
We need a motor update.
And by the way, the whole Brady stuff.
I'm going to tweet him right now.
The whole Brady stuff is absolutely overshadowing the fact that the greatest free agent running back we've seen in a long time is hitting the market potentially too here. Derrick Henry's out there. Derrick Henry is a grown-ass man. We were showing when we had Mark Ingram on our show on NFL Network's Combine coverage on Friday night during the running backs group. We showed a photograph of him next to Derrick Henry, and it looked like Aaron Judge next to Altuve. And he's like, take that down. Derrick Henry is going to be out there too. You want Brady, you better re-sign Derrick Henry, I'll tell you that. He's not showing up. He's already won one with Deion Lewis, I guess. I don't know if that's the only way that he wants to do it again.
James White.
And word is that after the conversation at the Combine, that the Patriots had yet to contact Tom Brady. That has since been rectified. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You have the floor.
Do we want to get to this?
Yeah, sure. Just real quick.
Okay.
It's going to be part of your news update. We'll hit it more in a second.
So according to Tom Curran and others, Brady and Belichick spoke on Tuesday to discuss Brady's free agency. According to sources,
yes,
it wasn't particularly productive.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
It, quote, didn't go well.
How did it not go well?
Belichick, according to the source, was all business.
I have no explanation for what happened.
The impression drawn was that Belichick spoke to Brady as if Tom was still under contract.
Oh, my gosh. I have so many thoughts on this subject. I have so many thoughts on this subject. What else do you have in your news update that we're about to hit at the top of the next hour?
We might go back down the Dolan wormhole because Charles Oakley has spoke to the Associated Press last night. We're going to hear from Tim Duncan and Alex Rodriguez.
What subject for Tim Duncan?
Tim Duncan coached last night in place of Greg Popovich.
All right. Is that what's going to come down the pike?
Tim Duncan, head coach? Yes.
Right.
And some news on the latest James Bond movie.
Okay, very good. 844-204-RICH, number to dial. Our poll question is, what's your favorite John Candy movie? 844-204-RICH, again, is the number to dial. We're on youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show and this radio network that will also include Albert Breer joining us to ask him about all these subject matters, including, I guess, Belichick didn't ask Tom how his offseason's going, or...
How the weather in Syracuse is?
Yeah.
Hey,
come out to the coast. Have a few laughs.
He might be coming out to the coast.
News update and Albert Breer coming up hour 3. Remember when Metta World Peace came in here?
That was awesome.
And we played real meta or fake meta.
That's meta itself.
We asked you guys to figure out if there was a fact that we just mentioned. Is it true or false about Metta World Peace? And he would be the one to respond whether it was true or false. Lots of fun. I think this wound up on our Emmy reel, as a matter of fact. It was so good.
Amazing.
Check it out. We have called some Metta World Peace facts, okay? From your book here and just from life in general. And we'd like to play a game with Chris Brockman and Mike Del Tufo over there. Where I will read out the facts. They will guess whether it's true meta or false meta. And then you will confirm.
Okay, let's do it.
Here we go.
The Rich Eisen Show presents real meta.
Our test, that's a 3. Bang!
Or fake meta.
You are fake.
Okay, very good. Good drop. Good drop, Del Tufo. Is there any music for real meta or fake meta?
We have our favorite music of all time.
Here we go. Very good. All right, first fact. During my rookie season with the Chicago Bulls, I applied for a job at Circuit City. True Metta or fake Metta?
I've heard this story. I believe that's true.
Mike?
I'm going with him. True.
True story?
That's a true story.
Woo!
That's a true story.
Did you get the job at Circuit City?
I did get the job. I got the job. I got my discount. I was trying to stay out of trouble.
Okay.
And I needed a job.
Did you use a discount?
Oh, yeah. Did I? I got so much things.
What was the job? Was it like some stereos or something?
You come in there, and I was in the stereo department, but you come in there, and I say, hey, how you doing? You got this, and we got that.
Ron Artest.
Did people recognize you? Like, what was that like?
Some people did, but I was still young. I wasn't a superstar.
Here we go. Next fact. I wore number 37 for the Lakers because Michael Jackson's album Thriller was number 1 on the Billboard charts for 37 consecutive weeks. True Metta or fake? No way.
No way.
Is it fake Metta?
That is 100% true.
That's true. That's true.
I knew it was 37 weeks, but I wouldn't guess.
All right, next one. Right before his comeback with the Wizards, I broke 2 of Michael Jordan's ribs in a pickup game and delayed his comeback by 3 months. I was so upset about it, I didn't leave my house for days. True Metta or fake Metta?
I think that's true.
I'm saying true.
It's true. It's true. I love Michael Jordan. Probably my favorite player.
You broke his ribs?
But it was on accident. It was a summertime pickup game, and it was an intense game.
Next one. My official name change to Metta World Peace was delayed for a month because of outstanding traffic tickets. True Metta, fake Metta? Mike Del Tufo.
That's false.
Chris? Fake Metta?
I don't think you're driving yourself around. I'll say false.
False.
That is false?
Yeah.
That's not true?
No.
Okay. You sure that's not true?
Yeah, that's not.
Okay, here we go. All right. In 2010, an art show honoring me was held in Toronto, Canada, entitled Lovable Badass.
Ooh.
True Metta? Fake Metta?
Ooh.
False.
True.
That's true.
Yeah, we have a tie.
Oh, yeah.
I was surprised, man. I couldn't believe it. It was a really good show.
Lovable Badass.
They just said, hey, we want to honor you. I'm like, for what? And they just had all this art of me.
That could have been a great title for your book instead of No Malice.
Oh, yeah. I should have told them.
Next one. Next one.
Yeah.
All right, last one. In 2010, I was cited for driving a race car with an expired registration down a city street. True Metta or fake Metta?
Based on his reaction, I'm going to say true.
I got to go true, too.
That's true.
That's true.
That's true. It was an Indy 500 car. It was fun.
What city?
In Westwood. Westwood.
In UCLA?
Yeah, they pulled me over and but it was street legal.
That is fantastic.
So it was street legal. It was just that you had an expired registration was the issue.
What happened was the officer was like, what is this? That's why they pulled me over.
Yeah,
they couldn't say I had my license. I had
was it an
everything.
Indy car?
It was an Indy car, yeah. But when you're young
how
and
did you
dumb,
fit in that thing?
I didn't really fit. I was real like this and hitting the gas with my one little pinky toe. It was tough.
What we're gonna do right here is go back into time.
Yesterday on the Rich Eisen Show.
Spike, you're really going to go back next year? You're really going to give this guy millions of your dollars to go sit there? This guy's run off Oakley, he's run off Marv Albert, and he's running off Spike Lee. And how, Knicks fans, he has not run you off yet? I don't comprehend it. Because if the Knicks do finally stop sucking, you can watch it from home. Welcome to the Dolan Wormhole, Spike.
Another Rich Eisen Show is coming at you right now.
And now, turn it up. Let's go.
This is the Rich Eisen Show. Live from Los Angeles.
Crazy talk.
Heard nationwide. Online at richeisenshow.com.
You have to sit here, if you're San Francisco, and say, we love Jimmy G, but do we think in the next 2 years this is a better option than Tom Brady?
The Rich Eisen Show.
And if the answer is no, you got to do it.
Earlier on the show, Sports Illustrated senior writer Chris Mannix, Bleacher Report MLB columnist Scott Miller. Coming up, senior writer for the MMQB, Albert Breer. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Hey, everybody. Hour number 3 of the Rich Eisen Show is on the air on youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. Is how you can watch us live every day for the time being, and perhaps for quite some time. We'll keep you up to speed on everything that's going on in our world. 844-204-RICH is the number to dial. Albert Breer is going to be joining us shortly, as word is that Tom Brady and the Patriots have connected, with Bill Belichick being the one to connect with him. And apparently that didn't go very well. We'll hit on that subject shortly, as I'm back from Indianapolis, a couple days now from that scouting combine.
How was the weather in Indy?
Wild. Snowing upon arrival.
Oh, wow.
Snowing again. Frigid cold, and then balmy 55 degrees, all in the span of 4 days.
Wow.
And the funny thing is that Daniel Jeremiah, I turned to him at one point, and I'm like, DJ, the weather outside's crazy. He goes, I don't know, I haven't been outside in 3 days.
Yeah, Indy's great with the overpasses.
He walked from the hotel to the stadium underground the entire way.
Yeah, they did a great job.
And I'm telling you this. Let me just hit this. Let me pound the table, if you will, for Indianapolis, Indiana.
To do Super Bowls?
Here, let me pound the table one more time for Indianapolis, Indiana, for the scouting combine. The word is, there was a lot of word going on that the combine was going to be, or is being considered to be moved. To use it just like the draft, to go around the country.
Right.
I have not been asked this question by anybody in management. So I will use the Rich Eisen Show chair to offer my 2 unsolicited cents, if that's okay.
Do you want me to ask it?
Sure, go ahead and ask this question.
All right, Rich, do you think the league should, kind of trot out the combine like we do the draft and move it from city to city, like, say, Los Angeles or Las Vegas?
Okay. Absolutely not. Absolutely N-O-T. Oof. Now, I'm a guy that likes change sometimes. I didn't mind at all the change in start time of the combine. I loved it at night, man. It was great. And the concern was the players wouldn't run as fast because it was at night. They sit around all day, whatever. The players loved not being awakened at 4 a.m. I don't think they were still awakened at 4 a.m.
How'd Isaiah Simmons run?
Exactly. Mekhi Becton.
Right.
And have them go across the street, literally across the street to the stadium, in which there's enough space for much of the medical staff to be there. And if a medical recheck, which is the reason why we're at the combine, if a medical recheck is required, you can go down the street to the hospital to do it. And have them back at the stadium or back in the hotel within minutes. Try that one on for size in Los Angeles, California, where sometimes it takes 15 minutes to go around the block in a car. Or New York City. By the way,
you're not lying.
I heard this fact for the Las Vegas, Nevada draft. The Strip will be shut down for parts of the day.
In front of the Bellagio, right?
Traffic, and people will be walking. There will be a walkway from the Bellagio fountains to the draft set, which is off the Strip, a block east. I saw the whole layout.
Wow.
So there will be a large pedestrian throughway for much of the day in Las Vegas, Nevada, and anybody who's been there knows there's some traffic there. Okay, so for Indianapolis, and even though there is an underrated late night scene in Indianapolis that I used to endeavor, back in the day where, I was not a 50-year-old man with 3 kids who needs his rest, his beauty sleep.
A little more hair in the head.
But no, the first couple of years, 06, 07, 08, I'm there for total access. I'm not even doing the full day stuff.
Right.
or I'm not at the mic for like 7-8 hours in a row. A couple times I'm like, yeah, let me go out till 1 a.m. and see what's like.
Shake Shack.
Yeah. By the way,
Steak and Shake.
I got a
Sorry,
great
my
Steak and
apologies.
Shake story here, and then we'll just put a button on it and get you a news update. I have seen late night in Steak and Shake Dick LeBeau at like 12:30 in the morning at that Steak and Shake in Indianapolis.
What's his order?
Huh?
What's the milkshake?
It's a steak or a shake. Or for me, it would be and or. I'm again, I can't do the steak and the shake.
Got to pick.
But you're not really, as a prospect at the combine when you're in Indianapolis, thinking about how do I get out of the hotel and break curfew. Las Vegas, Nevada, Los Angeles, California, any other spots?
Yeah.
I pound the table for Indianapolis, Indiana, and they roll out the red carpet for everybody. They love having it there. It's so convenient. And I say that where I don't want to get on planes. I would love to stay home and hold it in Los Angeles. Love it. 844-204-RICH number to dial. We've got some phone lines lit, but guess what? Albert Breer is going to call in. We will take your calls. Chris Brockman's news update right now. You want to go to take a phone call?
Yeah, let's take. I want to do just keeping on the Indy theme real quick.
Josh in Indianapolis, right here on the show. What's up, Josh?
Hey, Rich. How are you doing?
How are you,
Thanks for taking
Josh?
My call.
What's going on?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to. I was actually part of that nightlife for you this weekend. I delivered your pizza, and I say I take credit for your good 40 time this year.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Just so everybody understands out there, I had the pizza the night after I ran it. So
really,
yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I still was.
Shoot, I got to tell everybody.
Hey man, I mean, we could tell Daniel Jeremiah 280 was on yesterday. I was having Brussels sprouts in the booth. Okay.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. By the way, great album for Dairy Stormers. Brussels sprouts, and then parenthetically in the booth. What else you got? It was a great week, though, Josh. It was a great week.
Oh yeah, real quick. Okay, so Philly Ribs. So if we pick him, so should we say like Love or Herbert is still there? Should we maybe, or even if we don't get Phillip Rivers, should we try to like put some behind Jacoby? Like I'm very confused.
Well,
and we also need some help with the wide receiver too.
Yeah, well, look, and that's deep and playable. Thanks for the call, and thanks for the pizza. Certainly, because the kitchen had closed and they were about.
What'd you get? A topping situation?
Just a straight cheese guy.
Straight cheese
Charlie
guy.
Yook insisted on pepperoni.
Oh, pepperoni.
But it was literally it was about 20 of us from NFL Network, and so look, I wouldn't be surprised if they run it back with Jacoby Brissett. Darius Leonard pounded the table when asked, like, do you want Phillip Rivers? Do you want who else? What other quarterbacks you want in there? He's pounding the table for Jacoby Brissett. They may just run it back with Jacoby Brissett and take Jordan Love 13th overall, rip the knob off, and go to work. That's not a bad idea.
Not a bad
and
plan.
Let Brissett go back out there and do his thing that he was able to do before he hurt his knee.
He was balling.
He was half a Brissett. He was a Briss or an Ed. Let's go, Ed.
Thank you.
So I wouldn't be surprised they do that. All right, let's get to Chris Brockman's news update, brought to you by our friends at Honda, in particular the Honda HR-V, stupendously stylish and available to all-wheel drive. The HR-V is ready to team up for your next adventure, so hurry to your local Honda dealer today.
And now, with a report of the day's news from the world of sports and entertainment, someone who is not a journalist or newsman by any definition of the word whatsoever, it's Chris Brockman.
All right, Christopher, what do you have over there?
Okay, so the latest on Tom Brady, guys, per Tom Curran, of course, of NBC Sports New England. Bill Belichick and Tom Brady have spoke, guys. They spoke via telephone on Tuesday to discuss Brady's impending free agency. According to Tom Curran's source, not particularly productive. How long they talked and whether they got into discussions about money or contract or any situation, not known. Belichick, however, according to Tom's source, was all business. The impression was that Belichick spoke to Brady as if Tom was still under contract. Didn't go well.
Wow. All right, so let's say that we can glean that source is from the TB12 camp, correct?
I would think so.
Yeah. It's not like
I would think so.
It's not like Belichick told Tom Curran, yeah, I got the sense that Tom really wasn't into it.
Linda texted Tom.
I just, again,
yeah.
I don't know how many from the Belichick camp are talking about this to anybody that would leak it out there. Or because this stuff goes sideways fast. Any negotiation goes sideways fast. You hear something about a negotiation that might be negative, right in the tank. And I try not to do that whenever I'm in a negotiation. But, you know, if you want to go completely sideways, somebody from the Belichick side of things made it sound like this, that, hey, if Tom doesn't come back, don't blame us, right? There's no fingerprints on that. That is insane, but I'm just telling you how things can be interpreted.
Yeah, of course.
From Tom's side, if this is true, let's say this is true, because I love Tommy Curran and his reporting. Tom wants a little bit of the warm and fuzzy.
After 20 years?
After 20 years.
You cussing me out in the film room?
20 years. Well,
show some love.
But we've seen their relationship on NFL films. They have an immense respect of one another's football acumen.
You have to.
Of course. But after 20 years, if this is true, he wants to be really wanted and have this sort of arm's distance thing like, hey, I won 6 of these. You need to treat me like a guy who's won 6 of these. And anybody else who's going to hire him is going to treat him in that respect.
Yeah, let's finish this off.
Right.
I want to do 2 more years.
Right.
You know I want to keep playing.
No, but anybody else, I think he's got the wanderlust, to say the least. It's not over till it's over, and it's 2 weeks from today. But the way I'm viewing that, if this is true, then he wants, hey, man, how's Giselle? How are the kids? What's going on? The man could be very warm. I know that personally. But it didn't go well. Like, what are you, like, he was all business, which is like, hey, Tom, it's Bill. Look, we're gonna reach out to your representative. Yeah. We're gonna give you an offer at some point. Just wanted to catch up. I mean,
and then was like,
quick?
So it was like less than a minute?
I don't know. Like, what's it supposed to be?
I'm gonna call Don Yee. We'll get you some numbers, and we'll talk in a week.
Yeah, let's call up Tommy Curran. We'll get him on tomorrow. Let's get on Tommy. Goodness gracious. Tommy on Tommy.
All right, so one of the other hot deals you were talking about yesterday was the 49ers could be in play for Tom Brady. Ian Rappaport said today he has not heard anything from the San Francisco camp that would indicate that Tom Brady is a target. 49ers like Jimmy G, and they wouldn't float anything out to the media regarding Brady right now, even if that wasn't their plans.
Of course not. This would be totally... So what? I haven't heard anything, and they wouldn't float it anyway if it was their plans.
And that they like Jimmy G. They have three
it goes crazy. We're waiting around. We're waiting around. Stuff is not going to truly heat up for another week to 10 days. I'd be surprised if it does.
Tampering window?
Well, I mean, that's... but everyone talked at the Combine.
Right.
Everyone's in the same building at the Combine. So you hear like it's a perfect fit. Dion says what he said on Sunday on our air, which is like it's a perfect fit for Tom. It is a perfect fit for him. And then you start hearing, well, it's not really a great fit because the sprint outs and the boot outs and all the boots, he can't do that at age 42 plus, which, as you know, is just fuel for his fire that he can't do anything at age 42 plus. Unfortunately, we just got to sit around and wait. And at some point, sometime, Robert Kraft is going to come in with a Hail Mary. He's going to come in and basically say, what does Tom want? Let's get him on the phone. One last shot. Let him go out and see what else he wants to do. And let him sit there and think, do I really want to do this? And then we'll come in last second. So however he feels that Belichick treated him or didn't treat him, it's really Robert Kraft's ultimate call here, as it apparently was with Garoppolo.
But if Tom's already made up his mind that he's going to leave, what can Robert Kraft say?
Has he really made up his mind? Has he really, until he realizes what his total options are, sits down, talks about it with his beautiful wife and beautiful children and beautiful family in the most beautiful way possible?
The perfect way possible.
Honestly.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's a human being that at the end of the day, this is a major decision for life and profession. You could sit there and, FaceTime with Vrabel all he wants and hang out with Jimmy Fallon, but when rubber meets road and the decision gets made, he's going to have to sit there and think about it and ask his family.
Y'all chicken.
And then he's going to take care of his all chicken. Christopher?
So if Brady is the big domino, one of the ones waiting is Jameis Winston, what the Bucs might do.
Unbelievable.
Bucs GM Jason Light said he's waiting for the dominoes to fall before making a decision if the team will keep Jameis Winston.
He'll do what? Say that again?
He's going to wait for the dominoes to fall. That's a quote. Before making a decision on Jameis Winston.
The dominoes to fall. What dominoes could fall? Well, there's a very beautiful one in TB12.
Yes. A very one that likes to procreate, Phillip Rivers.
Procreate touchdowns. What else could there possibly be?
Those are the two, right?
Derek Carr, if he comes free. It's the TB12 domino. They're into him too, man. Arians already said it. They're one of the 8. They are.
They're one of the 8?
There's no question in my mind.
So what are the 8?
Well, ask Albert Breer. That's called a tease. And information.
Good job.
Thank you, sir.
You want to go down the Dolan wormhole real quick?
Of course.
Okay. So we entered the wormhole yesterday. You welcomed Spike Lee to the wormhole.
Yes, Spike Lee. The room is, there's zero gravity, right? In the Dolan wormhole.
No, there's not.
So we're all floating around.
There's not.
I've just been floating around for a while, trying to get all my celebrity friends to come in here, but they all love their tickets so much, and
that's true.
Having to enter apparently the 31st Street entrance, not the 33rd Street entrance. So,
all right, Charles Oakley spoke to the AP last night.
Did he ever?
Here's some quotes. It's got to be stopped. The NBA has got to look at this. You can't keep closing your eyes to this. This is turn your head if you see somebody getting beat up and you just keep walking. It just keeps happening in New York. People are not going to come here because it's the same thing over and over and over.
Right.
They got a new president, and all everyone is talking about is what happened between Spike Lee and the Garden. What is this man's problem, James Dolan, about control? He's such a control freak, and he's hurting the whole NBA. If I'm an owner in the NBA, this guy headlines every other month, every other week,
right,
and something that has nothing to do with winning. It's got to do with individuals, with people's lives. We shouldn't be going through this.
I love Charles Oakley. As you know, his treatment was the final straw for me. That's what first put me in the Dolan wormhole for good.
Like 2 years ago.
Never to come out. Whenever that happened. Well, Phil Jackson was still in the front office. He's the one who was trying to mediate that whole thing to begin with because he had a clue. I'll tell you this, man. That's falling on deaf ears. It's got to stop. NBA's got to step in. Are you kidding me? If you're one of the other 29 owners in the NBA, you're laughing. You're laughing. The spot with a ton of money, the spot with a ton of media, the spot with the world's most famous arena, if operated by a non-schmagegi, would be a serious competition for free agent dollars and maybe your free agent on your roster. So I'm not stepping in. I'm not saying a word. Let him just keep running this thing into the ground. And let him go open up for Big Bad Voodoo Daddy and have a good time.
Wow.
While he's destroying the crown jewel of New York basketball. And let it happen. 844-204-RICH. Your phone call still to come. When we come back, Albert Breer here on the Rich Eisen Show to talk about everything going on in the NFL. All right, everybody, let's huddle up. I've got something important to talk about from our friends at Honda. It's the 2020 Honda Pilot, ready to help get you all of your home and away games this season and the next. With its available intelligent traction management and more than capable cargo space, the Pilot offers the versatility you need to keep your team driving all season long. Man, I love this Pilot. With seating for up to 8, you can comfortably load up all your all-star players plus their gear. And whether you're maneuvering a car filled with football pads, muddy cleats, supplies to throw an ultimate tailgate celebration, the Pilot has exactly what you need to get it done. And the Honda Sensing suite of safety and driver assistive technologies can help you keep your head in the game. We all need it, obviously. See the field like your favorite pros. With the available 8-inch display audio touchscreen, the available advanced rear entertainment system, you will enjoy peace of mind and quiet as you roll into the postseason, or at least that's the plan. So hurry to your local Honda dealer to test drive the Pilot today. Albert Breer when we come back on The Rich Eisen Show. Hey, Chris, and Mike, I say this with no hint of irony. I literally mean every word. Do you remember when Superstar Paige came on the show and offered to kick you in the nuts?
Yep.
You remember that?
I remember when she actually did it.
Well, yeah, she offered to actually kick us all in the nuts. And I blanched at the thought. You guys stepped up to the plate, if you will. Here's that moment on the show. Now you live out here. You're West Coaster now?
I sure am.
Okay.
I'm so LA now.
Okay.
I love a good Stobbies.
Well, is that your
avocado toast?
Hold on a second.
Of everything?
Out of all the things, Starbucks. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Stobbies.
But they only have
just the word
Starbucks in LA, so
Stobbies,
that's
because a lot
good.
of people have said that over here.
Uh-huh.
There's only a Starbucks in LA, so totally fine.
Only, yeah.
Only here.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
So
we can help you on this.
it's just the name
We've just-
Stobbies, all right? Stop making fun of me over there. I
We've-
will come over there and put you in a wrestling move.
Would you?
I mean, Josh, the Alpiago is like, absolutely not. But
No, that's a no. Okay.
I wish. I mean, I'll do it. Can you go outside? I think I left my bag in the.
Nice.
Yeah. Just stunner him. Yeah, take that.
Like what could you do? Like what's the move that you could actually
Oh
perform
man, you
right
know
now?
what? I can kick a guy in the nuts without actually kicking him in the nuts.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass on that.
Hold on a minute.
No, it's my party trick. I guarantee I won't hurt you.
So is this?
I'll take my taint kickers off.
Could this be sanctioned? Can she try to
Yeah.
kick? Okay.
Literally.
Who would volunteer for this work?
Come on, you just have
Because-
to spread your legs and
Okay.
wish for the best.
Mike Del Tufo.
I mean,
yes.
we'll both do it.
all right.
We'll both do
Okay.
it.
Well, hold on a second.
Wait.
Let's
Take
take
a
a break. Let's take a break.
Very excited. Sorry.
Mike is about to join the ranks of the Unsullied here on the
Let's do this thing.
Wow. on the
He's
Rich
already
Eisen
sweating.
show.
I can see it.
No, I'm fine.
Okay,
I
this
had
is
it
going to
happen
be
when I had a roller
great.
rink years
Mike,
ago.
you just turned beet red.
I did actually have it happen at a roller rink.
So again, you can perform the maneuver
Yes.
to kick him in the nuts, but
Yeah.
not make contact, and
Yeah,
we would think
I'll
that you
make
actually
contact, but it's not going to hurt your nuts.
did it. Wow.
Wow.
Or anything in between.
That's a tease.
Fantastic. We're back here live.
Yeah.
You volunteered that you
Yeah.
can. What are we about to attempt to do right here?
Kick him in the nuts.
Without actually
Kick him in the
hurting him.
nuts. Yeah, exactly.
But you will make contact.
I'll make contact, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, but you will not hurt him.
No.
Well, it doesn't matter. You have no desire to have children anyway.
No,
from
I'm
here on
good.
out.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
WWE Superstar Paige.
We'll see.
Do we have the? Go ahead and hit it there, Jenny. Here we go.
All right, spread them for me. Okay, ready? If I was you, I'd pull your shorts up a little bit just so I can have a bullseye. You know
There
what I
we
mean?
go.
Got it. Jeez.
All right, ready?
This is great.
We'll
Is
see
it?
if this works or not. I've only did this once before.
I know.
All right, Paige, have at
Ready?
it. Superstar Paige. Here we go. There we
No
go.
contact.
I just slapped him on the
No
butt.
contact.
Yeah,
You're up next.
that was a good slap on the.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chris up next.
Uh-oh.
Ready? Spread them.
You're the one who was making fun of her. So there we go.
It just hurts on your butt. I'm
Are you
sorry.
serious? Are you serious, Chris?
I'm selling it.
Vince McMahon, take note. All right, fight with my family. Fight
Did
with
it.
my
I'm
family.
sorry
Go
for
check it out.
slap punch there. It was like.
Well done. Fantastic.
For more of the
So during that segment, David Alberts on our YouTube chat page send Paige to kick Dolan in the nuts. I like that. I like the cut of your jib, David.
That's funny.
Send Paige to kick Dolan in the nuts. Spelled with a Z.
With a Z. With a Z.
So he's nuts. Kick him and he's nuts.
Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah, I was thankfully able to see that through all the bots that we're getting rid of one by one.
Yeah, we're working
Am
on
I
it.
the one who has to personally do that?
I think it might be individually how you're watching in the chat room.
Ah, very good. All right, we'll be back in a second. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. 844-204-RICH number to dial. We'll take your phone calls before we get out of Dodge this hour. But right now, we head to the phone lines, and my buddy from the MMQB, he is Albert Breer back here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Albert?
That was a heck of a lead in there. Is that NUTZ? Is that what you said?
Yeah, somebody on our youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show live stream, where people can watch us now live every day, basically said we just showed Superstar Paige kicking Del Tufo and Brockman in the nuts a few weeks ago, that somebody should do that to Jim Dolan. And I kind of, I don't advocate for that sort of thing, but I'm
being a New Yorker, though, you could probably understand why.
That's right. It's crazy. All right, brother, let's get into it. Walk down the teams that are interested in Brady as you and I are sitting here right now, Albert Breer.
Yeah, and I don't know that the market is all that hot. I would just tell you, you need a lot of conditions in place to really want to go after them. You need to be willing to blow up their offense. Need to be willing to kind of put yourself on a 2-year timetable. Need to be willing to look and see in the near future where a rebuild is going to be coming. And you need to be willing to put talent around them. So, I think there's a limited number of teams that are interested. The Patriots are interested in bringing him back. The Titans are interested, but they're also interested in their own quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, who they're going to have to make a decision on over the next week. And then, the Raiders and the Chargers will also kick the tires on it. I know they're investigating the possibility of it, what it would take, et cetera, et cetera. So, those are the 4 teams that I'd sort of put in the group right now. We always have a surprise. I mean, people don't remember this, but the Broncos sort of came out of nowhere on Peyton Manning in 2012. So there's probably someone lurking out there, but those are the 4 teams I put in front right now.
What about the 49ers, Albert? Is there any smoke at all?
I mean, I talked to several people in that organization, and I just tell you, I did not sense that there was a great chance that it's going to happen. Now, maybe something changes. I don't know. And I'm not trying to shoot down what anybody else is saying, but that possibility seems somewhat remote right now. They're really happy with where they are, not just today, but if you look at what their next 5 years or so are going to look like. And that doesn't mean that they're 100% in on Jimmy Garoppolo for the next 5 years. I actually think Jimmy Garoppolo could be on the clock this year because, Kirk Cousins is going to be a free agent next year. I'm just telling you, I don't think that they're of a mind right now to sort of go all in on the next 2 years and just have massive uncertainty beyond that because they're really happy with where they are right now.
I know they're really happy with where they are right now, but it's crazy, man. At some point, the age is going to have to catch up. But at some point, we also need to stop saying how old the man is, too, that he is still Tom Brady. And, he could take any team that's close and put him over the top. So why not the team that was 7 minutes away?
He's still, he's still a good player. I mean, I think a lot of the stuff that went wrong last year was based on what was around him. The Patriots got old in a lot of spots at the end of last year. And, that sort of brings up an internal debate in New England with that organization where they're asking themselves, with so much age on defense, some age on offense too. Edelman's 34. Do we need to blow it up right now? And if you're going to blow it up, then you're not bringing it back. So I think certainly he can still play, and he can certainly be that guy for some team. You have to be right on the precipice, and I'm telling you, he takes great pride in his personal performance. As much as he loves winning, he also wants to, play really well the next couple of years. And that was what frustrated him last year was his personal performance suffered from what was around him. So you're going to have an appealing situation to him too. And so, you look at what the Chargers have. They'd have to fix their offensive line. Look at what the Titans have. Are they going to be able to bring back Derrick Henry? You look at what the Raiders have. Is he going to fit with John Gruden? There are questions in each of those places. And so it's really interesting. There's not a perfect scenario out there for him. And I've been saying this since December, Rich. I mean, I think what could wind up creating, his return to New England is the two sides look at each other and their best option is one another.
Well, what do you make of Tom Curran's latest report that the connection between Belichick and Brady went down yesterday on Tuesday and did not go well? What do you make of all? Because Bill was all business, like like he's an impractical joker usually. I mean, what do you make about all that?
Yeah. I would tell you, like, my experience having been around that organization for 15 years, Bill isn't big on negotiating. Bill will look at each player coldly and say, this is what I think you're worth. And it's not in a mean way. It's just, this is where we see your value.
Right.
If you see it the way we do, then we can make that work. And that's sort of the way they approach free agency, too. Like, if you look at the way that they go into free agency, at the Combine, they may talk to 20 free agents and put values out there on those 20 players, knowing that most of those players are going to get more, but thinking, okay, two or three of those guys are going to come back to us, and we're going to get really good deals. It's just the way that they approach roster building. And so my guess is that Bill gave him a very cold, calculated, like, this is the way we see it right now. And, you could certainly see, if you're Tom Brady, as logical as some of that stuff might be, if you're Tom Brady and you put 20 years into the organization and you have 6 rings, and that franchise is literally worth multiples of what it was worth, in large part because of you. You can see where you would take some of that stuff personally. And so that's what this is all going to come down to, was, Brady willing to come back on his terms, Belichick willing to come back on his terms, and whether or not those sets of terms could match up. And I haven't heard personally that things didn't go well last night, but if they didn't go well, then that's probably a pretty bad sign.
No, I know, but there's still so much time, man. I mean, there's two. Yeah. We're 2 weeks away from this decision having to been made, and then we'll see what Brady does get an actual offer. I mean, everybody could say we're interested, and then it actually comes time to brass tacks it, and the details come out from either contract length to money, or more importantly for Tom Brady, roster or comfort within the system, either scheme or actually who his TB12 system is allowed in the building in a way that maybe others are not. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be hammered out. That's the time frame, at least the way I see it. What about you?
And the system thing, like, don't underrate the system thing. I mean, like, you remember, like, when Peyton Manning went to Denver, I mean, like, Mike McCoy and Adam Gase and all those guys worked with him and basically were able to reconstruct his system in Denver. And they knew they were going to have him for 4 years, so they knew that it would work for 4 years. This is a little different. And, I can give you kind of an example, and I think this is why I think it'd be almost impossible to rebuild what he has in New England. The amount of institutional knowledge there, like, they'll have something called Oakland, say, right? And, a young player will say, well, why do you guys call that Oakland? Well, because back in 2008, we ran this against the Raiders and scored a touchdown on it. And so, to have that level of institutional knowledge where Josh has worked with Tom for almost 20 years. Bill has worked with Tom for almost 20 years. That system is Tom Brady's system. It's been bastardized in a good way, where it's really form-fitted for Tom Brady. Is he going to be comfortable going somewhere else? I mean, Rich, I'm telling you, I've been told stories where he sits in that quarterback room studying defenses, and he'll be looking at the offense on the screen, and he'll say, what the hell is that? What are they trying to do? Like, I think he's very particular on what he thinks is good offensively, what he thinks works offensively, and I think it'd be really, really hard to recreate that somewhere else.
Albert Breer here on the Rich Eisen Show. Give me a surprise that's going to happen in the next 2 weeks. Give me a good one.
I think, well, it wouldn't be a surprise if Gruden brought in competition for Derek Carr, would it? That doesn't count as one. I could give you, like...
It depends on who that is. Who's the competition?
If Ryan Tannehill gets out of Tennessee because Tom Brady lands there, I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan Tannehill goes to Oakland, maybe even as the replacement for Derek Carr. So that would be one. I think the Jameis, Bucs situation's gone sideways because Jameis wanted a lot of money and the Bucs were turned off by that. Rivers with the Colts is something that's been discussed a lot. Something that would be surprising. Here's one. Don't be surprised if at running back, if Kenyon Drake, who was traded in midseason for basically nothing, right? Mm-hmm. If Kenyon Drake gets more than Melvin Gordon, how's that?
On the free agent market.
on the free agent market. I wish I had something better for you. That's kind of like
No, it's not at all. No. Look, Albert, I'm asking you to make some sort of prediction or no. That wouldn't be too. That would be somewhat surprising. What are we hearing about Gordon? Where he might wind up? What do you think on that? That's under the radar.
His market's a little tougher because, like I said, like Kenyon Drake's somebody who brings value in the passing game. He's more of a 21st century back. Gordon's like an older school back, and so his market is going to be like, does Derrick Henry leave Tennessee? Could he be a replacement in that sort of system? I think it's going to wind up being something like that. And I would tell you this, like I think and you were just at the combine, so you saw these kids up close. One thing I have heard is that it might be hard for some receivers and running backs to get paid.
Oh, period.
Because the draft class at both of those positions are really, really good. Like
no
a
question.
receiver, if you're one of these teams, are you going to go pay Amari Cooper $18 million, or are you going to draft one in the second round who may be able to start for you and make less than $2 million?
How about this? How about this, Albert? We could sit here and say that no free agent running back and no free agent wide receiver will make more next year than Tony Romo.
I like that. There you go.
I think that's entirely possible.
Tony Romo's making almost as much as he did as a player, which is crazy.
It is nuts. It in terms of an announcer making more as an announcer than he is as a player, and we're talking about an NFL quarterback on top of all of it. But yeah, I mean, seeing the wide receiver.
Hey, Rich.
Mm-hmm.
It's a media guy now, though, so that's good for all of us, right? Rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah, that's the theory. Let's see it put into practice, brother. We'll see how that works. Okay, and before I let you go, what is the latest on the collective bargaining agreement? You and I spent many a day on NFL Network together. Me in the Los Angeles Total Access studio, you on a Washington, D.C. or New York City street corner live. That was 10 years ago, for crying out loud, next year.
Oh, my God.
I know.
Yeah.
Time flies, Albert, when we have labor peace.
Yeah.
So the question is what's happening here? Because it does factor into tags, and it does factor into whether there's more or less pie for Dak and other players as well. What do you have for me on that front?
God, me and you did full shows.
Oh.
I like right now the NFL and NFLPA lawyers, the lawyers for both sides are meeting and they're putting together the language for what's going to be a 300-page document. Within a few days, I think, hopefully by the end of the week, maybe early next week, that document will go out to players, and then they're going to give the players some time to digest it. Then after that, the players are going to vote on it. And, we're sort of in a key stretch here because the NFLPA's rep meetings are next week. The 8th to the 11th in Miami, and they're going to be electing a new president. So if this thing doesn't go through, we could have a pretty major problem in our hands because then the players are going to be sitting there and they're going to say to themselves, well, what do we have to prepare ourselves for? We have to prepare ourselves for the possibility there's going to be a lockout in 2021. And so at that point, you would think that they would elect a president who would probably be a little bit more of a fighter, which, I mean, of course, could change the dynamic of the whole thing altogether. And so we're in a critical stage here. The feeling I get, Rich, is that the union and the league, both sides, like, really feel like they put together a strong deal. But certainly there's some dissension in the ranks of the players. And it'll be interesting to see if the rank and file vote against this, because one of the key parts of the deal, the mandate of the NFLPA was go take care of the average player. Well, the average player in the NFL makes the minimum, and about half of the membership, maybe even more than half of the membership, is on the minimum. Mm-hmm. And those guys would each get an immediate $100,000 raise with this. And so I just, even if, the executive committee and the player reps are against this, it's very hard for me to see where so many guys in the minimum being basically offered a six-figure raise right away would vote no.
So which will we know about first? The CBA is accepted or rejected, or Tom Brady's contractual status?
I think we'll probably, so it'll be March 16th is a tampering period. March 18th is the beginning of free agency.
Yes.
Yeah, if the CBA is still in flux at that point, I would think that they would push back the beginning of the league year. So we'll say CBA first. That's what happened in 2006, by the way, you may remember. I believe they pushed back the start of the league year a day or two.
to accommodate the completion of CBA. So if the CBA is not done by the beginning of the league year, I'd say push it back a day or two.
Well, that gives more time for the Brady decision because the new league year is kind of the witching hour.
That's more oxygen for everybody to discuss this thing and speculate on this thing. And yeah. I mean, March 18th can't get here fast enough, Rich. I'm going to be honest with you.
Well, it's right around the corner, brother. Good to see you in Indianapolis. Thanks for the call, Albert.
Absolutely. You too, Rich. Appreciate it.
Right back at you. That's Albert Breer, Sports Illustrated, and the MMQB, MMQB.com. Wow. That's the first I heard that the new league year could be pushed back. That gives, because again, the contractual status of Tom Brady, the big seismic event is the new league year starting, because if it hasn't been decided by then, apparently enlarges how much dead money Brady's going to cost. And it makes the decision a lot more difficult. Like, it's got to be done before that. 844-204-RICH, number to dial. We'll check on your poll question and so much more when we come back here on the Rich Eisen Show. Don't go anywhere. 844-204-RICH. We'll take your calls. We're here on the campus of AT&T, and we are here on radio doing this show all the way through to April, and we're still ironing things out on everything that's going on with this show, and I really can't. I'm like jumping out of my skin to tell you what's going on, but I can't. And we are staying here for the foreseeable future, and not just now until April, but for a while. Which is a good thing, I think, for the folks here at AT&T, not only because we're a spectacular show and great neighbors and great to have around.
Tenants.
But, I mean, there's a sign outside.
Yeah.
And it would be terrible to take that sign down, especially since we all went through so much to watch its unveiling. Take a look. We're sorry about the kink right there. But that was the day Marshall Falk was here, and you were out there trying to
take the sign down. It was great. I was set up.
Definitely not.
So what? Because it was wrapped up, and there were two cords.
Put
it seemed like
plastic.
ropes. So what?
So
you know what? And the
secured.
crazy thing is, I've never asked him what happened.
No, they weren't.
Well,
it was plastic, and there was rope, and the plastic was so like.
It wasn't set up. We weren't trying to get you.
Oh, I found out from a couple different people that I was kind of set up to fail.
Wow. How?
Yeah.
How?
The conspiracy theory?
I'm just going to let it hang.
Wow.
I don't want to point fingers at the person.
Well, by the way,
there
you go. It was great television. I mean, this is what was happening. I was so like, what the hell's going on?
Marshall's laugh in my ear, in the eye.
So now you're saying that was set up.
Look at how it ripped off. It just ripped off.
So somebody, they're putting it together. Look, Chris Long, as we all know, was the man in charge here at the time.
He didn't do it.
He's the one who's like, let's put a sign up here, which is, God bless that man in every way, shape, and form. You think he instructed people to go ahead? So somebody went rogue.
Yeah.
Knowing that a man whose livelihood is all about creating premium television was, let's throw Del Tufo under the bus.
And pull those up. Actually, you know what happened? They weren't put in right. So when you pulled it, it just fell apart.
If it wasn't put in right, that's totally.
But it looked funny.
Understandable. Like, as you know, we're live on YouTube today for the first time. We're working through some audio kinks.
Yeah.
So things happen. But you're saying that this was sabotage or sabotage.
Oh, sabotage.
You say sabotage.
I say sabotage.
But yeah, that was definitely they were not. It should have been like literally ready to be pulled off.
Right.
It was kind of like wrapped a little tight. So when things are wrapped a little tight, it's wrapped tight.
Have we gotten rid of the bots?
It's nuts. It's
it's an individual thing. You got to go in.
What does that mean?
You got to go in and manually block them
everybody.
Yourself. Yeah.
So if I block it for me, it's still up for you.
I think so.
Yeah. Their names are what's.
Because Rich, some people might be into the bots. I don't know.
Oh, somebody keeps saying TJ needs a raise. Are you not blocking them because they got hearts and peaches and all that stuff? Is that all right?
Yeah, but you're not doing any work for me or Mike or Rich. Like it's.
By the way, come over to a microphone, TJ. Come over to a microphone.
I have no idea.
TJ's
By the way,
like
good job, Don, to find the camera that actually captured TJ in the corner. Well done.
TJ's at the wall, saving us from.
Don't go guard my microphone.
TJ, come over here. Get some camera. Sit down. A second. How much time do we come back from commercial break?
We got over a minute. We're good.
All right, so sit down for at least just a minute.
I'm working hard, Rich. I'm fighting these bots like I'm Brienne and Jamie at the Battle of Winterfell over there, and it's just
the Battle of the Bots.
But what we're saying is the bots are an individual computer issue.
Yes.
So you're fighting the bots
Come
for
on,
yourself.
There's no.
Well, we don't know how to do that yet.
Yeah.
But is there a way that we can debot this thing?
I'm getting a lot of advice on YouTube. By the way, the people on YouTube have been great. Like,
they're
normally when you
cool.
have an open forum like that, you're waiting for the trolls.
Right.
People talking trash, and we haven't been getting any of that. And they've actually been helping us fight the bots.
Yeah.
They've been making jokes.
Right.
But here's where I realized we were fighting a losing battle.
Yeah.
I made a comment that I was feeling like Matumbo out there blocking all these bots.
Yeah.
The bots then started to copy and paste what I'm saying and then put it in the chat. So I was like, I don't know what to do.
Where are these people? Are they sitting in like Kamchatka?
We have a watcher from the Philippines right now, by the way. He says 3:20 in the morning.
I love the YouTube world. All right, we're coming back on the TV radio show. Get back there and block some people. Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. Fun show right here. Chris Mannix, Scott Miller of Bleacher Report, Albert Breer. So we had two Sports Illustrated guys, the Bleacher Report guy, and all of us right here on youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. Grandmaster, social media Grandmaster. TJ Jefferson's trying to block all those bots with the hearts and the peaches and all that stuff. And the kiss, the kissy emojis on our
so many peaches.
YouTube feed. What's the matter with you people? Can I say that? What's the matter with you people?
Yes. Now we're getting spammed by Nugenics.
They're not people. They're bots. Well, there's a person behind a bot, right?
I don't know.
Sean in Chico, California, home of Aaron Rodgers, right here on the Rich Eisen Show. What's up, Sean?
Hey, Bob. I just love you guys. You guys
Right
got a
back
great
at you.
show. And
Thanks,
Rich,
man.
I hope things get better for you guys.
They're great right now. Thank you, Sean. They're great right now. We're in this beautiful studio where we could be seen around the world right now. I had a call from Israel, and now I got a call from Chico, California, where I started my career. Everything is good, and we've got a lot of partners interested in being in business with us, and hope to make an announcement soon. So,
Good deal.
Thank you.
So I just want to chime in on that Tom Brady deal. Rich, I got to disagree with you about that Niner thing. It sounds great, but I honestly think he's going to go to Tennessee. I think all the pieces are there for him, and it would not surprise me if either Tannehill or Andy Dalton went to the Patriots, and why not get that kid from Utah? Because I think that's the way the league is going with the running quarterback. You know, it's the new league, I think, and I think Belichick's smart enough to realize that. If they could pull it off financially up in New England.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it, Sean. Could you imagine? Let's just hit the time machine.
Where are we going?
We're going back to Tennessee.
Okay.
At this point last year.
All right.
They're fresh off of thank you. They're fresh off of losing game 256 to Andrew Luck, right? Isn't that what happened last year? Game 256, Titans lose to Colts, Colts make it, right? Didn't that happen?
I think so.
I think I'm right. And we tell a Titan fan, at this point next year, you will be in the supposed pole position to get Tom Brady to be your quarterback to finish up his career. But your team might have second thoughts on doing it, despite Mike Vrabel being the head coach. There may be some second thoughts about doing it because of Ryan Tannehill. What would the response be to that?
Probably like ours. We're laughing.
That actual reality right now. And how about Breer saying that Tannehill, if Brady goes to Tennessee, might be brought in by Gruden as competition for Derek Carr? Look, if they're bringing in Ryan Tannehill, Carr's gone. Because Tannehill's going to come at a, one would think, pretty penny.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a 1 or a 2 year deal. And I'll tell you this, man. I'll tell you what, man. How many people think Gruden isn't happy with Derek Carr? The whole world. Right? Probably outside of Carr's family.
Poor Derek Carr, dude.
And maybe Mayock, who, when I asked him on live television, when's the last time he spoke to Tom Brady, started going into a full-throated, supportive soliloquy about Derek Carr, and they need to score more points on offense, and the reason why they didn't is not all on Derek Carr's game and abilities. But, man, the whole world thinks that Gruden isn't happy with Derek Carr because Gruden's never happy with his quarterback, seemingly. So,
unless it's Rich Gannon.
I'm telling you, the guy to go there is Jameis Winston. That would be amazing. First quarterback to sling it in the new Death Star on the Strip.
Is a guy who maybe can't see straight?
Well, now he can. He got the LASIK. Steven,
by the way, free crab legs at the buffets, Rich.
Stephen in Texas, everybody. You're here on the Rich Eisen Show on YouTube and radio and everywhere else. What's up, man?
Hey, Rich. Just wanted to say first, I'm a big fan. I've been watching y'all for a while, thanks to my dad. And I had a few comments about the whole waiting for Brady to decide where he's going. Being a Patriots fan since pretty much I would say the Carolina and Patriots Super Bowl, I've honestly am grateful for everything Brady has done for us from all of those Super Bowls. I mean, he's quite just one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen play. I mean, it's right there head to head with Manning, but he's right there at the top. And honestly, if we're not able to keep him, the one place I think he could go to is the Titans, and hopefully we're able to pick up Herbert. Or I wouldn't mind seeing Carr try.
Oh, we just lost him. Well, thanks for the call, Stephen. Appreciate it. You'll have your pick or your litter of anybody else that's displaced. Dalton by Burrow, Carr by name whoever. You know, potentially one would think Brissett by whoever, although you might keep Brissett. Or Teddy Bridgewater. Name it. Anybody who's displaced by a quarterback that's on a current roster right now that has NFL experience or an upside, New England will take him. 23rd overall. I don't see Herbert going all the way down there. I just don't. You know what I think lurks, and you know what lurks. Patriots figuring out a way to get Trevor Lawrence somehow, some way. I know. You just thought about that for a second.
Gosh.
What a delicious thought if you're a Patriot fan. What a nightmare that would be for the rest of the National Football League. Thanks for taking in this show, everybody. YouTube.com/Rich Eisen Show. Hit the subscribe button. Many of you already have. But do that and watch us live every single day between 12 and 3 Eastern and listen to us live right here on this radio station. And we love being here with you. Thanks to Chris Mannix, Scott Miller, and Albert Breer for taking in this edition of the Rich Eisen Show with all of us. We will see you on Thursday.